We're going to go ahead and get it popping, get it started everywhere. Cool. All right, and we are live. All right, so Zach, how's it going, Zach? Are you at least 18? And
yeah, I'm 18.
Great. And what did you want to talk about on the board?
Well, just for clarification, for the first one, are you talking about like social issues or economic stuff, policies? Like, because social policies is a lot different when it comes to left-leaning stuff than economically speaking.
Both of them.
So you think left-leaning socially is better?
Both of them.
And that includes like anti-religion, pro-LGBTQ, stuff like that?
Not necessarily anti-religion, but anti-religion ruling over
like a more secular
society. Exactly.
Okay, but that would include being like pro-AB, pro-LGBTQ, stuff like that.
Correct.
And can you please explain to me, I've always wondered this, how is that kind of stuff beneficial for society?
Freedom. You don't tell everybody what to do or how to live their lives. The more people who are free to express themselves that don't harm anybody else, the better society is.
So freedom, meaning people get to do whatever they want, is better for society.
Yeah, as long as they don't harm anybody else, of course. But maximizing freedom, yeah. Being pro LGBTQ and pro reproductive rights maximizes freedom.
But I feel like that stuff would kind of wouldn't be healthy for the future of society, because if you care, like I understand what you're saying, like for individuals, right? If you're like, well, everyone should be able to do what they want, stuff like that. But for the future, you're saying that policies are better for society. Are you including the future of society? Because those things are not good for the future of society.
How they're not?
Well, LGBTQ, to start off with, have extremely low mental health rates. And the more homosexual couples we have means we'll have more homosexual kids, because there's a correlation there, meaning that the more society that's LGBTQ, the lower the mental health rates of our society will be.
That's silly. Our mental health is controlled not by someone's sexuality. It's controlled by more than that. People's sexuality, the reason why they have worse LGBT. I said LGBT. The reason why they have worse mental health issues is because of the way society is, because they're not accepted. But research found out is when they get more accepted, when they have more community, their mental health gets better. So it's more about community, not about their sexuality. So
yeah,
hold on. Let me just explain. If you have a community, your mental health is always going to be better. It's not about your sexuality, it's about your community. That's the first thing. But the second thing is that you can still have, mental health issues without sexuality, right? And having gay parents doesn't make you gay. That's stupid. That's not how that works.
It doesn't, but it's more likely.
No, it's not.
It's not. Do you want me to pull up the stat?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Where does it come from? Is it a peer reviewed study?
You want me to pull up a stat saying that what percent more likely LGBTQ parents have of having an LGBTQ kid?
Yeah.
Or someone that aligns with anything LGBTQ?
There's not someone that aligns with anything LGBTQ. How is
anything
having
like gay, straight,
hold on,
or
listen,
gay,
listen,
bi,
listen,
trans,
listen to what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Are you saying that if a lesbian couple adopts a child right now, that child is gonna be gay, or highly likely gonna be gay? What evidence do you have?
Is a child a baby?
Because that's not how being gay works. Yeah, that's not how being gay works.
But it's everything. Like society, the homes you grow up in matters. Like if you grow up in a Christian household, you're more likely to be Christian. There's tons of examples of this.
Right.
Why would it differ based off that stuff?
Because being a Christian can change. Being gay doesn't change like that. Being Christian is just an ideology. Being gay is something that people are born with. Is their inherent behavior. So
yeah, but it can be influenced more in a household like that. And I don't believe it. And I believe
there's no evidence of that being the case. But there's no evidence of that being the case.
I'll show you a stat showing that households that are with multiple LGBTQ parents have a higher chance of having LGBTQ kids.
Okay, sure.
Would you like that statistic? So if that's true, well, you concede. Well, I can pull up multiple, but if that's true, well, you concede therefore that you were wrong on that, because you said that's not true. It is true.
So if you have an LGBTQ parent, you're more likely to be LGBTQ than a general population?
Yes.
Okay, what study says that?
Okay, I'll pull it up.
Go ahead. All right, y'all. So while we're going ahead and waiting for him to pull up this bullshit, y'all go ahead and keep liking the live and keep sharing. Liking the live, keep sharing. Hey, I appreciate everybody who's watching. If you're watching over on Deconstruction Junction, I appreciate you watching there. If you're watching over on my channel, Volsy Thoughts, I appreciate you watching there as well. And if you're watching over on Black Atheist Coalition, I appreciate you watching there as well. I am live right now on Twitch and Facebook. So I appreciate you watching there if you are as well. If you're watching there as well, I definitely appreciate it. Just to let you know, while he's pulling that up, I actually did pull a few up that says that no, that's crazy. Like a longitudinal study by by UCLA, and this was published in 2019, where it's a 25-year analysis that found that offspring conceptual adulthood and 92% retention rate 1986. Okay, yeah, it was published in 2019. And it said that the majority of the children who are in LGBTQ parent households are straight. The vast majority. So no idea what he's talking about. 31% of female and 73% of male offspring reported being only attracted to the opposite sex. Let's see, 54%.
All right, so the Lisa... Hold up, I gotta...
Yeah, I can't hear you when you swipe out.
Do you know about the Lisa M. Diamond study from 2018?
Lisa M. Diamond study, 2018.
Yep. Do you know what that reference
Let's see.
is?
Focus on sexual fluidity, challenging the born this way narrative by showing that sexual orientation, particularly for women, can shift throughout life.
Well, here, hold up. I gotta swipe out early.
Yeah, so it shows that females, their sexual orientation, at least for females, can shift.
Did you add the Rich C. Savin Williams as well? It's like a multiple names, and I don't know. But anyway, it says that they're more likely. You
just said Lisa M. Diamond study from 2018, so that's what I looked up.
Yeah, if it didn't pull up the whole thing, I was just telling you the other half of it.
All right, what's the study called?
Okay. Lisa M. Diamond and...
No, what's the actual study called? That's what I'm asking you. Because the one I'm putting up is about female bisexuality from adolescence to adulthood. That's the name of the study. What's the name of yours?
Wait, can I put the link in chat?
No. Tell me the name of your study.
I'm trying to read it. I have to keep swiping in and out. I'm gonna write it down.
All right. So just tell me this title, because the title that I found
is the title. It's two names. I have to write it down.
No. Listen, those are the authors. That's not the name of the study.
It's not the authors. It's literally the name of the study.
Lisa M. Diamond is an author. She's a psychologist.
Yeah, but it's there's multiple names, and it's not.
All right. Maybe I need to help you out. All right. So Lisa M. Diamond is not gonna be the title of the study. That's going to be the author.
So if you could, like I told you a million times, I'm writing down the full name so I could show it to you.
All right.
Can you let me do that really quick?
What's the name of the other person then?
That's what I'm doing. I got to swipe out really quick.
Go ahead. All right, y'all. So if you would like to talk to me about anything I have on the board, the number is right up here, 786-751-7853. James over in the Deconstruction Junction says that he loves Trump. Good for you, buddy. Hey, I appreciate the gifts. Y'all appreciate the gifts. I appreciate that. Y'all keep tapping that screen. Yeah, what's the name of the
Lisa M. Diamond and Rich C. Savin Williams, 2018. Now, since you don't want me to put the link in the chat.
Hold on. Lisa M. Diamond and Rich C. what? Saving Williams?
And Rich C. Savin Williams, 2018.
Savin Williams. If you cannot find
it, I can put it in the chat.
All right. So sexual identity trajectories among sexual minority youths. That will be the title of the study.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I was asking for, the title of the study. So, all right. So the present investigation explored gender differences in sexual identity development. First, same-sex attraction, self-labeling, same-sex sexual contact, and disclosure among 164 sexual minority young adults. Based on interviews, results indicate the value of assessing gender differences in the context, timing, spacing, and sequencing of sexual identity milestones. Adolescent males had an earlier onset of milestones except disclosure. The context for sexual identity milestones were likely to be emotionally oriented for young women and sexually oriented for young men. The gap from that same-sex attraction, 8 to 9 years of age, the first disclosure around 18 years, average 10 years for both sexes. Young women follow label-first developmental trajectories. Men were more likely to pursue sex before identifying themselves as gay. So all this shows, what you just told me, all this shows is that men or gay males or homosexual males are more likely to engage in homosexual acts before they label themselves, and females are the opposite. They're more likely to label themselves first before actually engaging in the act. That's all it shows. And he ran away because he knew what he was saying was bullshit. All right, let's go ahead and get to the next caller. I'm so smart. How's it going? Can I get your name?
I'm not smart.
Okay, I'm not smart. All right, smart. Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
My name is actually John. I'm 34, and I do disagree.
All right, sure. What did you disagree with and why?
I would disagree with both of your prompts up here, but do you mind if we go for number 2?
Sure.
Okay. There is no evidence for a God. So how would you justify your transcendental value in anything other than hearsay?
I have no idea what that even means. What does that mean? Transcendental values?
Like your do you think you have a purpose?
Yes.
Okay. That would be a transcendental.
Okay, how do I justify that?
Yes.
I justify that in myself. There's something I want to do, so I'm gonna start to do it.
Okay, so is purpose only justified through a worldview? And then we can also go into like, are you familiar at all with what logic is?
I'm familiar with what logic is. Here's the thing, bro. None of this shows hold on, wait. None of this shows a God. I can have you can have purpose. Does. No, it doesn't. How does having a personal purpose prove that there's a disembodied mind outside of space and time? How do you connect those?
Yeah, things? But that's not my argument.
But you just said that they prove a God. What's the definition of God then?
My definition of a God?
Yeah, okay.
It would be logic.
So God equals logic?
No, God is logic.
God is logic. So yes. Like that doesn't make any sense to me, because logic is simply a system that humans came up with. You're saying that God is a system that humans came up with?
Is it a system? Is logic a system that humans came up with, or did they only observe it?
Actually, yeah, you're right about that. We observed phenomena in the universe, and basically we just came up. We describe what we're seeing. That's all it really is.
I would agree. We describe what it is, but and here comes down to the question at hand that I want to ask you is if we only observe what logic is, and if logic is only something that depends upon a mind, then what mind would precede logic? What mind would give logic?
Us, because like what logic is, like what we're saying,
you,
we're not observing.
We're not
observing logic. Like it's not. We didn't look out into the universe and find a star that says LOGIC on it. That's not what happened. Like what we're observing. Dude. I got you. Listen. Logic is descriptive. It's not prescriptive. We're just seeing things out in the universe, and we came up with language to describe what we're seeing. That's all that is. Like we didn't. It's descriptive. It's not prescriptive. So it didn't precede anything. Logic is simply
language.
Logic is simply our language on to describe what we're seeing. That's it.
Would language precede logic?
Would language precede logic? That's a good question. I'm not sure.
The answer is no.
So yeah. So so you're saying that logic didn't exist until we came up with the language for it. Yeah, sure. You can say that. No,
that's not what I'm saying at all.
You said that logic precede language, and you said no.
Hold on. Okay. Do you mind if I give you a syllogism?
I don't care about syllogisms, bro. I care about evidence. Syllogisms don't give me evidence for anything.
All right. So then, how do you bring forth logic?
What does that mean?
How do you bring forth logic?
What does that mean?
How do you
just can't
create logic?
You just can't keep repeating the same thing you're saying. When you say how do you hold on, listen. When you say how do you create logic or how do you bring forth logic, I don't know what you're saying by that. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to tell you. Okay. How does your brain understand logic?
I don't know. I'm not a neuroscientist.
It wouldn't matter about being a neuroscientist. This is a philosophical question.
I don't know.
Okay, so we observe logic, right?
No, we observe the universe, and logic is our language for what we observe. We made it up,
logic,
bro. Logic is not descriptive. Logic is not prescriptive, bro. It's not.
Do you want? Okay. We're not talking about descriptive or prescriptive arguments here, dude.
All right, so I'm not sure we're talking
about logic.
Okay,
we're talking about logic.
If we're talking about logic, then we have to definitely say what it is. It's descriptive, right? It's simply our language for describing what we see.
There is a descriptive plane for logic. Yes, I would agree with that. Do you like the laws of logic? Are you familiar with the descriptive laws of logic?
Jesus Christ. Yes. Okay. This is what I want to get to.
What are they then? What are they?
Non-identity, non-contradiction, and I forgot the third one.
No.
Hold on. Law of identity is not one of the laws of logic?
No, it's not non-identity.
I said
it's the law.
That's what I said. Identity. That's what I said. Law of identity.
Okay. My bad. Right. I misunderstood.
All right. So this is what I want to. This is what I want to get to. Right?
I don't want this to be heated. I don't want to be heated. I
got you. This is what I want to get to. None of this shows me that a God exists. We can talk about logic and where it comes from and is it prescriptive or descriptive all day. When I talk about good evidence for a God, I'm talking about evidence that is demonstrable, repeatable, and testable. Can we have that for a God or not?
Yes.
Okay. What experiment do we do to come up with the God answer? What do we do?
Logic.
It's not an experiment, bro.
Logic is not an experiment?
No. Logic is our language for the phenomena that we see in the universe. That's all it is.
How is logic not an experiment?
I mean, yeah, you could do thought experiments. Like, if you're the leader of Candyland, would you go to war with, this person that's trying to get your resources? Yeah, that's a thought experiment. But that's not
a scientific method.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order, for the scientific method, we have to observe something. Mm-hmm. Then we have a hypothesis. Then we have an experiment, and then we have a conclusion. Correct?
Yeah. We observe a phenomenon. We come up with a hypothesis. We do an experiment to falsify, and then we come up with a conclusion. Sure.
And then we come up with a conclusion. So the same thing can be applicable to logic and everything else that we can see. We can observe logic. We can wait. Hold on, dude. Hold on. Just let me get it out, dude. Mm-hmm. I understand you're eager. Okay. But if we can, first of all, if we can observe logic, which is the identity of itself, which would be the first claim. Number one, logic number one law of identity, then we can see it. Then we can use it. So
I'm very lost, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie,
where do we have a problem with that then?
All right,
where do we have a logic,
problem? Right? Not gonna lie, bro. I'm very lost. Like I kind of you lost me about what you're trying to get to. You're saying that we can see, you can see logic.
Can
how?
Observe.
Oh, so you said observe.
Identity.
Sorry.
Identity.
All right. So yeah, I identity. Identity is something that we came up with. What about it?
No, it's not something we came up with. It's something that exists.
Okay. Like exist how?
Mm-hmm. Transcendentally.
So no way that we can actually interact with it. It's just something, it's just a concept that we have, correct?
It is a concept. You're close.
So we invented it.
No.
Yeah, it's a concept that we have. So we just about, yeah. I would say.
Is it just about, or is it all of it?
Yeah, I would say I'm all of it. The only reason why, like, I didn't say, hold on. The reason why I didn't say that before is because I'm not sure. We'll probably go down a list of things and say I'm not sure. I don't know who invented that or where it came from. You see what I'm saying? But we'll have to go down a litany of like 1,000 things. But I would say every concept that we have, yeah, we invented it.
Every concept that we have, we invented it, but therefore every concept would have its own law of identity, and so therefore we would not be the structure of that, correct? This is basic 101 philosophy, bro.
Yeah, but I don't care about that. Philosophy doesn't prove any gods, bro.
Then what does philosophy prove?
Nothing.
And then why do we use philosophy?
We use philosophy as a way to, speak, make discoveries about ourselves, things like that. Like philosophy does have what I was gonna say again. It does have its uses, but to prove things, that's not really what philosophy is for. You prove things with evidence.
Then how would you know? Well, how would you know that?
Evidence. We have to have evidence to prove things.
According to what, though?
According to like how we operate.
And how do we know how we operate?
Oh, that's philosophy. There we go. So philosophy does.
Philosophy, yeah.
Philosophy does.
So,
yeah.
So
philosophy
how?
does. That's why I said philosophy does have a place, but it's not.
Yeah,
that's not what we use. That's not what you use to prove anything.
Why? Then why do we use philosophy?
The reason why we use philosophy could be for several reasons, right? Like ethics.
What does
to
the
know
word
how
philosophy mean?
I don't know. That doesn't matter. How do you prove a God? For this conversation, it doesn't matter. How do you prove a God? Because I'm asking for evidentiary basis, and you haven't given that to me yet. I'm asking for something that's testable and demonstrable.
Logic.
That's not testable. Logic. How do you test
logic is
how do you test logic to get to God? What do you do?
Through the three laws of logic, the law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, the law.
What do you do? What do you do?
I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you.
All right, but don't preamble. What I'm saying is that don't preamble. I know what the laws of logic are.
I'm not preamble.
Yes, you are. You just said what the laws of logic are again.
You asked me what it was.
I didn't ask you what the laws of logic were. I asked you what do you do? Listen, I asked you to prove a God. What do you actually do? What do you do in logic in order to get to evidence that's testable and demonstrable to show a God exists? Saying what the laws of logic are doesn't show me that.
Okay, all right, okay. So let's go down this argument real quick, okay? Do you think logic and knowledge, knowing things, is mind dependent?
My friend, what is the experiment? Like asking me questions is
trying
not.
to ask you the question, dude.
But that's not an experiment. That's not the follow. That's not.
Yes, it is an experiment.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not.
This is an experiment as we talk right now.
It's not. Let me give you an example. For abiogenesis, right? When people say that when people like to say that abiogenesis is true and stuff like that, what do? They point to the Miller-Urey experiment. So that's what I'm kind of asking you right here. What do we actually do to prove that a God exists? What do we do? You asking me a question doesn't do anything. I'm asking with me and you sitting in either a lab or outside or anything like that. What are we going to do to show that there's some spiritual God, something out there?
Do you work in a lab?
Hold on, listen. Us asking each other questions doesn't do anything. What do we do?
Yes. Do you work in a lab? Do you know how labs work?
No.
Okay, fine. So I do work in labs. Okay, so I do know these things. So I'm asking, and they follow lines of logic. These are logical lines that we follow. Okay, so the first question is knowledge, logic, mind dependent? Does it depend upon a mind to know what these things are?
Yeah, sure.
Yes or no?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay. Does knowledge and logic depend upon our minds to exist?
Yeah.
How?
Because those are concepts that we came up with, friend. We're the ones who came up with those concepts.
How are they concepts?
Again, because logic. You just asked me. Because logic is the language that we use to describe the universe. So we came up with
a language.
Logic is not a language. It's a framework, is it not?
It's a framework, but it's not a language.
How is it not a language?
But you already conceded to me at the beginning where we only observe what logic is.
No, I said we observe phenomena in the universe. No, I said we observe phenomena in the universe, and then that's what came up with the laws of logic. That's what I said. No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said
yes, it is. Don't be
no, it's
liar,
not.
Dude.
No, it's not. No, it's not. What I said is that we observe phenomena in the universe, and what we observe, that's how we came up with the laws of logic. It's a language.
Okay, so we observe it, right?
We observe phenomena in the universe. We don't observe logic.
Okay,
I said this from the beginning.
Okay.
We didn't look into a telescope and see a star that says logic on it.
We observe them. So we observe these phenomenons, okay?
Right.
We observe
the phenomena, but the phenomena itself isn't logic. It's simply a phenomena that we see in the universe. But the phenomena itself isn't logic. That's what I'm saying. Logic is something that we talk about, something that we came up with. It's our framework. So knowledge and logic
come up with logic.
Because these are the phenomena that we see. So we see that things don't contradict each other. They either exist or don't exist. They're either up or down. You know what I'm saying? They don't exist. They're not up and down at the same time. So that's how we came with the law of contradiction. There we go.
What is a contradiction?
P not P. Something can't exist and not exist at the same time. Something can't not exist and exist at the same time. Right? Okay. That's a contradiction. So if you say that it exists, you can't not exist and exist at the same time. So what we did is that we see this ubiquitously throughout the universe. We see that Mercury exists and Mercury can't not exist and exist at the same time. So boom, that's a logical law right there. But
yes,
what we're saying is that that's the phenomena that we see, right? But that phenomenon in itself is not logic. It's simply a universal phenomena. What we say is that that's logical.
Okay, so how do you base that to become a universal phenomenon if it's not logical and if it doesn't require our mind? How do you base that to be universal?
We base it to be universal because we've never seen the opposite. We've never seen something.
Said it's universal.
We've never seen. Yes, it's universal because we've never seen the opposite. We've never seen something exist and not exist at the same time. That's never happened.
What would be the universal qualifier? Like, what would be the ontology of it?
I don't know, man. Because I'm not a PhD philosopher. Listen, none of this is getting me to God, bro.
Either, dude. I'm a plumber.
None of this is getting me to God, bro. That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Us.
How do you?
What I'm saying. Hold on. Dude, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
No,
you see what I'm saying? No, we've been on this tangent for the past 5 to 10 minutes, and we still haven't gotten closer to God.
Interrupting me.
We've been on this tangent for about 5 to 10 minutes, and we still haven't gotten. We've been on this tangent for the past 5 to 10 minutes, and we still haven't gotten to a God yet. That's why I asked you, what experiment do we actually do? Because us asking each other questions doesn't do anything. At a certain point, you say you work in a lab. At a certain point, you got to do something, right? You just don't sit there and ask each other's questions.
I'm trying to, but you. Do you mind if I lay out a framework?
No. I don't need a framework. What do we actually do?
How am I supposed to prove anything?
I'm asking you, what do we actually do? What experiment do we do? What do we look at? What do we actually do?
I'm trying to give that to you, dude.
All right, but asking me questions doesn't give that to me, man.
Okay.
Don't ask the questions anymore. Just tell me what to do.
Okay, I won't ask him anymore, okay? All right? So here is how logic follows. Here's everything, okay? Logic.
All right.
Is
I'm going to interrupt you once. I'm going to hold on. Wait. I promise I'm going to let you go. Listen, I promise I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go, right? I promise. But this is what I'm asking. You see, right here, what you're doing, you're preambling again. I don't care what logic does. What I'm asking you is, don't ask me questions. Don't tell me what logic does. Simply tell me, in order to find God, what do I actually do? You don't need to preamble logic anymore. We've been through that. What do I actually do? What do I have to go out there and actually do? Go ahead and tell me.
What? Like, okay, so you don't want any evidence for logic. You don't want any evidence for God anymore. You just want to know how you find God?
That would be the evidence.
Okay, how to find God?
Yeah, that would be the evidentiary basis, right? Like, is there some sort of equation? What do I do?
I was trying to give you an equation, but you didn't want that.
All right, sure. What's the equation? Let me look it up. What's the equation? What's it called?
Okay, so it's called tag.
That's not an equation. That's a philosophical argument. What's the equation?
No, logic is math.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
And why are they derivative of each other?
They're not. You saying logic and math are derivative of each other?
Yes.
How?
Is it logical that 2 + 2 = 4?
All right, y'all. We're not getting anywhere. I'm sorry, y'all. We're not getting anywhere. All right, y'all. So the number is right up here if you want to call in. 786-757-1785 tree. It's right up here. Y'all can go ahead and call in if you like. I do appreciate everybody who's here watching. If you're watching over on Volsky Thoughts, again, I appreciate you. If you're watching over on the Deconstruction Junction, I appreciate you there as well. Y'all are wonderful. If you're watching me over on the Black Atheist Coalition, I appreciate you there as well. If you're watching me over on Twitch or over on my Facebook page, I appreciate you watching me there as well. So the number is up. I'm going to talk to 562 now. 562, how's it going, 562? Can I get your name, age, and what did you disagree with on the board?
Hello. Just so you know, this is not a voicemail. This is nothing like that. So I'm actually calling somebody right here.
Right, sure. Can I get your name, age, and what did you disagree with?
My name is Michael. First name Michael. Last name Johnson. I am 18, and I didn't really disagree with one, but there is something that I am curious about. Why do you believe that leftist policies are better for, just in general? Why leftist? Why not rightist? Why not middle? Why not nothing? Why specifically do you call it a left?
Leftist policies that I've seen are more humane. They maximize freedoms as far as I've seen, and they actually increase productivity as well within society. And there are specific ones that I can talk about that do that.
Okay, can you go ahead and do that?
Yeah, sure. Like if we talk about universal healthcare, right? Most people would say, yeah, that's more humane. But the way that it increases productivity is that more people will be out there working. if they're healthier, basically, and they can work for longer, and they can work harder if they're healthy. So universal health care works with helps with that. Let's say we have walkable cities. If you have walkable cities, which is something that the left also pushes for, walkable cities are things that also makes people healthier. You're healthier, you're more productive. That's just a straight shot. This is more logical. Also, funding, heavy funding into education. If you have heavy funding into education, you get more innovation, especially if you have diversity. You have a diverse group of people, you have diversity of thought, you get innovation. That happens every single time. We saw that with sports, we saw that with science, etc. The reason why I was able to get to the moon is because of 3 Black women who were able to come up with the equation in order how to get there. Diversity shows that you get innovation. And it's been shown in several studies as well that the more diverse a business is, the more it innovates. So there you go. That's you get more innovation, you get more production. Also, we push for renewable energy, right? Like solar, wind, nuclear power, stuff like that. All of those decrease the climate crisis that we have going on right now. It decreases the amount of firestorms. Did I say firestorms? Fire season. Wildfires. There we go. My bad. Ooh.
Yeah,
it decreases wildfires, etc.
California, I can definitely vouch for that. Right,
exactly. So all those things I see are better for society. LGBTQ rights, maximize the freedoms for LGBTQ people. If you have women control their own reproductive rights, maximizes their freedom as well. So that's why I say that those policies are better for society.
Yeah. You first of all, before I say anything, you are a very well-spoken individual. The fact you're able to get that off your chest without stuttering a single time, I commend you for that. And second of all, while I do agree with the fact that those policies do positively affect the economy, our society, our morals, especially, right? Because it's a reflection of them. But I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way and say that leftist policies are good for just us in general, because not all of them are good. Like the ones you just said, they're right, they're good, they're fine. But a very popular leftist policy that I get, or not leftist policy, I should say, just more like idea that gets thrown around is taxing the rich. While it's good, it's more on paper, putting it into execution doesn't make any sense, and I can prove it to you.
Okay, so I'm not sure. Yeah, sure. We can say that, right? But if you look at the history of America, when taxing the rich almost to 90%, yeah, sure, their effective tax rate was lower than that, right? Because they had loopholes and stuff like that. But taxing them at that much, it expanded our economy, and not only that, we tax lower than other industrialized nations, and those industrialized nations have everything that I talk about. So, and they do that by taxation. Sure, like the taxation might be like at 35-40%, but I ain't gotta drive a car. You know what I mean? And my food is healthier. My children are more educated, and I don't have to be worried about getting going into debt because of a medical emergency and stuff like that. So I would see that taxing the rich heavier is going to improve these things. Why would it not, though, in your opinion?
Now, first of all, let me get one thing off my chest. I'm not defending billionaires at all. As a matter of fact, especially with all this like Epstein file stuff going on, it's clear that a lot of them are some very fucked up individuals. But I'm sorry for the language. I don't know if that's warranted. On
no, I don't care about that. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not defending them whatsoever, and I think the idea of taxing them would actually be a good idea. But the problem is that it's not physically possible because there are some loopholes in our law system that ensure that you're actually hurting a lot of the economy. So, for example, the middle class people, they get hurt by a lot because, let's say you try and tax somebody like Elon Musk, for example. This is one of the most rich people that have ever existed on the planet. I think he might be, I don't know where he is up there, but top 20, top 10. But he's one of the richest people probably ever. Taxing somebody like this is impossible because the majority of his wealth is contained into, while he does pay a lot of tax, it's not nearly as much as what he's worth. Because what he possesses exists in the form of stocks. And because stocks isn't a physical monetary yield, you physically cannot tax something like that. So when you raise the taxes, for the rich, when you try to raise those taxes, what ends up happening is that all those middle class people, they get taxed 50%, 40% of their income because they need to pay the rent for their buildings. They need to pay for the actual products, and then they need to sell those products. Probably marketing goes into it. Employees, maybe, if it's because there's some small businesses that rely on employees out there. You know, they need to pay an extra. But especially mom and pop stores, they get charged based off of those tax regulations. And I know this because I know 1 or 2 families near me that actually get heavily taxed during the Biden era. But I'd say that's mainly a California thing with like Governor Newsom and you know, his little tax thing. And his whole idea was that the rich need to be held accountable. But most of those rich people in California during when that happened, they did not care because most of their wealth is accumulated in real estate, in stocks, and things that don't necessarily, like, you can't even call it theirs, but you can at the same time.
Right,
and
exactly.
The reason why they're able to pull off all these purchases and things like that is because
they borrow against it.
They could just say, "Oh, I have all this money," so.
Yeah, they borrow against it.
That's just my take.
And I agree with that, right? So that's why I've said that we should, when we raise tax on the wealthy, what my idea would to be to tax their those assets, where they're, you know, like a wealth tax, all the wealth that they that they have and they borrow against, like just like how you said, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they're worth like $300-400 billion, right? But it's all in their Amazon and Tesla stock. Like, and they borrow against that, and all they do is, and that money doesn't really get taxed. They just got to pay the interest rate, and they just borrow more money, and they just never pay anything, right? So that right there, the whole buy, borrow, die system, that right there should be taxed, in my opinion, because it's the same thing with houses, right? We still got to pay our property tax at the end of the year, but like when you have people like like the others, they don't got to pay nothing on that. You know what I mean? So we should change the system to tax that. And I'm not sure about raising capital gains, you know what I'm saying? But I'm here and there with that. I'm not sure about raising capital gains, but definitely tax their wealth. And not only that, there are other ways, like they do get some income, right? A lot of times when you're going to raise their taxes, just like how you said over in California, a lot of rich people didn't care because what they did, a lot of CEOs just took like $1 worth of income that year and just borrowed money against their stocks and stuff like that. So
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so that right. There's also something else that they do. It escapes me at the moment, but it's something that Donald Trump actually said that we need to get rid of, and I actually agree with him on that. It was his debate with Hillary Clinton, and he said I forgot what it was called, but basically he says that's the one. That's how they escape the taxes. He said if you get rid of that, then you're gonna go ahead and you'll be able to go ahead and tax them fairly. I can't tell you what the name is because it escapes me. I forgot what it was. I'm gonna look it up during a few minutes.
I saw that debate as well. I saw that last
that. But I knew what he was talking about, but I forgot what it's called. People and executives that they do where they're able to, you know, and bankers and stuff like that, they're able to not pay a tax because they do something. I forgot what it was, but that right there is something that we can stop. You get rid of that, and then you'll be able to tax them properly, and, you know, funding the IRS properly like we're supposed to do. Then you'll be able to give me a second. Then you'll be able to tax them properly and get the type of money that we need. Just like how you were saying, you're right. There are whole ass loopholes that are in the system that we need to get rid of, and we need to close a lot of those loopholes. If it was up to me, there will be no loopholes. There will only be like the child tax credit and, you know, the school credits and stuff like that. But all the loopholes that the rich take advantage of, get rid of all of them. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Everything you pretty much said. Yeah. Then again, that's a large reason why a lot of people they don't necessarily call themselves liberals, or they don't call themselves Republicans or Democrats or far right or whatever. But a lot of people end up voting for the party of the Republicans because they believe, you know, that they don't get taxed as much. Mm-hmm. And for that, because they don't believe these guys will ever be held accountable, which I can kind of get it from their standpoint. But at the same time, exactly what you said, these guys do need to be held accountable at the end of the day. And who knows what their debt looks like? It's probably looking into trillions, not trillions, but billions and billions of dollars. And they're completely okay with that because their stock is worth that much. So they can walk around and still breathe, basically, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So pretty much exactly what you said is correct. And one thing I'll say to you, it's kind of a separate topic, but I am a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe in God. And you saying that, you know, you don't believe that there is evidence of a God, and I completely respect your opinion. In truth, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I don't believe that there is a way to prove that God exists. God only exists if you believe it exists. So there is no way. People that come onto your calls and say, no, God exists because X and Y. Truth is, there is no logical way of proving it. I believe it exists because the more I look at the world, the more I realize, like, there's no way that any of this could have been created. But then again, there's no logical way to prove that. So if somebody walks up and says, I don't believe it, then it is what it is.
No, I can respect that. I can respect that. That position, like, because I do get awestruck when I look at you know, how small I am compared to the rest of the universe, right? Like I'm a big space nerd. Like, I love Star Trek and Star Wars, and you know, what's that show by Seth Green again? It was one of my favorites, The Orville. Love The Orville, right? Star Trek Starfleet Academy it's okay. I think Starfleet Academy could be better, but yeah. So like all that stuff, I love it, right? So like whenever I think about, you know, the star Betelgeuse, and they say Betelgeuse is so big that it would stretch from, you know, where the sun is all the way out to Saturn and stuff like that. Like, I get awestruck, like, wow, look at this huge, incredible things in our universe that I'll probably never see. But still, like, it's incredible how the universe is and everything like that. You know, quasars and nebulas, beautiful things, right? I get awestruck. So I can see how when people see that, they're like, you know, this is God made. This is godly. Yeah, I mean, I get why people would say that. Yeah, I mean, it's just, for me, it's just something that's beautiful in the universe, and something that's wonderful that, you know, I would love to see one day, but I'm probably never going to see in my lifetime, which is okay. Yeah, I mean, I can still enjoy it because we're all part of the universe. We're all like just like how Carl Sagan says, stardust. You know, I mean, we're the thinking and feeling parts. We're basically a way for the universe to know itself. You know, I mean, like, just like what he said, and I think there's still profoundness in that doesn't really require a God. But if someone looks out in the universe and say, you know what, that's why I believe in God, because it's, you know, how awestrucking that it is, I can respect that. I don't have a beef with that. Sure.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think I'm going to leave you here. Thank you so much for having me on, and have fun debating.
Not a problem. Hey, I appreciate you, Michael.
All right, later.
Later. Oh, sorry for cutting you off. Sorry for cutting you off there. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody being here. We're at 6,000 likes over on TikTok. Yeah, W guess. Drop some W's in the comments for Michael. I'd really appreciate those type of conversations. W in the chat for Michael. Hey, y'all. So I really appreciate everybody who's here. We're at 6,000 likes. Let's try to get to 10K within the next 5 to 10 minutes. I know we can do it. Let's try to get 5 to 10K within the next few minutes. Once again, shout out to everybody who's watching me over on the Deconstruction Junction. Yeah, you guys are wonderful. Hey, so for the person who called me a fool, go ahead and just call up. I'm not a paid actor. I'm not sure why you would think so. If I was a paid actor, hey, appreciate that. There's a snake in my boot. Everyone who think that I'm a paid actor, I don't know why you would think so. Like, if I was a paid actor, I'll be up here with like a Rolex, like how what's his name? You know, the guy that said that they're making the frogs gay. Well, what was his name? Alex. What was his name? What's that guy name? What's that guy's name? Something Alex. Alex Jones. There we go. Yeah. If I was a paid actor, I'll be up here with a Rolex like Alex Jones. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure. Hey, there's a snake in my boot. Appreciate it. I'm not sure why people think I'm suddenly a paid actor, y'all. Like, I don't get much money from doing this. Every live I make like $5 from the gifts. So ain't nobody making money from this, man. Now, I'm not like Dean Withers and Parker. I'm not those guys. So I'm making no bread for this. All right, so 732. How's it going, 732? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with anything I had on the board?
That'd be me?
Yeah, that'll be you.
Okay. Well, I would like to touch on the second prompt. There's no good evidence for a God.
Yeah, sure. No, not a problem. But name and age, please, just for the TikTok purposes. You don't have to give me your real name, just any name to call you.
Rob.
And over 18?
Yeah, I'm 30.
All right, cool. Rob, 30. You want to talk about the second prompt, and we can go into the first prompt if you like. If so, that's your opinion, that's fine. But second prompt, you go ahead. I don't think there's good evidence for a God, and you were gonna tell me why there is. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to touch on that. Like, just ask you a question about it. Like, so you're saying there's no good evidence for a God. Like, do you believe that there is? Like, are you an atheist?
I'm an atheist. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I guess that was more just personally. I wanted to know that. What was it? Because I heard you say before about leftist policies that are better for society.
Mm-hmm.
And you said one of them was universal health care.
Yes, universal health care.
Okay. Can you explain that?
How universal health care will be better for society?
How would it improve society? Yeah,
sure, because universal health care, it promotes preventative care. That's the first thing. So if it promotes preventative care, you have more people making sure that they're going to the doctors, making sure that they're healthy. You'll be able to catch diseases a lot earlier, a lot more problems earlier, which makes the prices of which causes the cost of things to go down. Not only that, you also have the fact that in America, one of the biggest cost drivers of healthcare costs is administrative costs. So like the middlemen, the paperwork, all that. So if you get rid of all of that, it's actually cheaper in the long run, and you spend less on your healthcare per capita by not having that middleman there. Also, because you have people who are not going into medical debt, you have less bankruptcies, you have less people in poverty, things like that. So that's why I think it will be better for us as a society.
Okay, because I'm wondering, because there are like I know that there's other countries around the world that have sort of universal health care, but none of them work. Could you point me to anyone that works?
You said none of them work?
Well, well, I mean, in Canada, I know it's terrible. You have they have a universal healthcare system, and the waiting lines are sure, anybody can go in, which means everybody goes in, which means that you have waiting lines that oh, my leg's broken. All right, we'll give you a cast, but it's going to take 2 years for you to get in.
That's not true. I know people in Canada. They say that doesn't happen. But it really depends. It's really contextual, and it's really contextual, right? And that's not the case in every single time. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find 1 or 2 cases where something like that would have happened, but that's not normal. Hold on.
I don't.
Wait, let me just say that's not normal for Canada, right, Rob? So I don't think that everyone who breaks a bone in Canada is not going to see a doctor for 2 years. That's kind of crazy. You probably find some cases where that does happen, but it's not every single case. But the second thing is that Canada does have private healthcare, and the third thing is that when you look at rankings of who has some of the best healthcare in the world, the majority of them are universal systems, like Taiwan, like Japan, like Switzerland, like the Scandinavian countries, etc. So when you say it doesn't work, why would it work in those places but it won't work over here?
All right. Well, I'd like to touch on firstly that if when you say something like, "Oh, I know people in Canada," they say it's not true. That's anecdotal, and I've seen I don't know how to I don't know pull up Canada's healthcare policies, but I see and I hear stories all the time. I watch people coming out of Canada, they share their stories and what happened, and I guess that's anecdotal too, but
Well, here's one thing I'll give you for Canadian healthcare. Seeing specialists is longer. Like, yeah, sure. They're it is longer to see a specialist in Canada and over here, but I think that's has more to do with what I was gonna say, like staffing and stuff like that. But yeah, Canada has its problems, right? I'm not gonna say that Canada's perfect.
That's a contributor. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Canada does have its problem. I'm not gonna say that Canada has no issues, but what I was saying is that when we look into, data and stuff like that, like who has some of the best health systems in the world when it comes to access, when it comes to care, things like that, the universal system has constantly beat us. I think we're into like the top 10 or top 15, but the universal systems always beat us.
How do they beat us?
They beat us in like rankings of like who has some of the best systems.
What defines like a good system?
Access, care, costs per patient, outcomes.
So let me get this straight. So access, cost, and what else?
Access, costs, patient care, outcomes as well.
Oh, quality. Okay.
Quality. Yeah.
Yeah. And all those things make a system work.
Yeah, mortality rates. Someone just told me that as well. Yeah, all those may help with the system. Like if you have a system like ours, where a good portion of the society cannot access it because they just can't afford it, that's an issue with the system, right?
I agree that. I mean, it's an issue, but I mean, at the same time, if it's run through socialized policies, where's the money where does the hospital get their money?
Taxes. I mean, doctors and hospitals
exactly. And taxes, like
right. The taxes. I mean, like, yeah, the hospitals get their money several different ways. Taxes, donations, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure doctors in France still get paid. So it's not like no one's going to get paid anymore, right?
Yeah. Well, who pays them?
I'm not sure how it works in France, but I'm pretty sure like the hospital pays them. The medical bills go straight to the government, etc. Can you give me payment? Yeah. Can you give me 1 second? I have a friend of mine here on the stage with us. Jessica, you there?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going? Good to hear you. Hear your voice.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, Jess.
Good to hear yours, man.
Yeah.
So I before we start, I do want to say you are not an actor. I've known you for years through political debate. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. When we don't, it's always still fun. So I can vouch that you are a real person, and this is something you've been passionate about for many, many years.
Yeah, it's crazy. I always get those comments over on the YouTube stream of me being a paid actor, or they just call me the N-word. So that's another thing.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, you know how that go. Yeah, you know how that go. Okay. But yeah, you were telling me about Canadian healthcare in the DMs, which is why I brought you up so you can explain more of it, because I'm not as well versed in it as you are. Well, what were you saying?
Yeah, so it's not just the Canadian healthcare system. Mm-hmm. So what we have found is, I believe this, and it's been proven, in order for capitalism to thrive and to survive, it has to rely on social programs for their people. And that's where we see a lot of, I wouldn't call them social health or universal health like we like to promote them here in the States. They are a mixed bag. So you have the public access, but you also have the ability to have private access, whether that be through straight payments to doctors, straight payments to clinics, or through insurance firms. And then you have the ability to just stay public if you qualify. If you look, we are getting beat out on our health care, not just by one or two of these companies. Number one right now are Singapore, Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea. And they rank at the top. There's no reason we shouldn't be ranking with this. For me, we could have a viable mixed system where we do like Canada. You don't have to get rid of your private insurance. You want that private insurance? Go for it. Go to a private hospital to get that immediate care that you want if you think it's going to be better. But there's no reason why in a country that we have, with the type of money we have and at the tax programs we have, especially if we look at doing, I don't believe in a wealth tax, I believe in a levy. There's no reason we can't fund those programs. So us choosing not to fund it and say, oh, but it's coming from taxes. Yeah, it comes from taxes, but it has shown multiple nations
there's a snake
that
in
we're
my
not going to
boot.
be paying a crazy higher rate of taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you actually told me about
people can keep their private insurance.
Yeah, you were actually saying something about that too. Like a levy is better than a wealth tax. I definitely want to learn more about that. But before you continue there, I want to get Rob in here. Rob, so everything that we just said, what do you think? I want to hear from you.
Well, I definitely don't understand that. If if the funding of the program, like, I don't know. I don't see these outcomes. Like they've had these systems for a while, and like.
What?
I heard.
Yeah, I mean, no, all good. So what Jessica brought up was the same thing that I was. A lot of these systems where they're ranked better than ours, like outcome, mortality, patient care, affordability, access, things like that. A lot of the ones that beat America are universal systems. So if we're the wealthiest country on the planet, I don't see a reason why we can't also do that. Maybe we need to. Yeah, sure. You can say the reason why.
Can I throw this in for you guys? Also,
sure.
Something we tend to forget in this country is that back in the day, we had these systems. They existed. They were free clinics, especially in lower income areas.
But
they existed.
We live in a capitalist society, though. So we have like a lot of.
When I say back in the day, I'm talking the 70s. I'm talking the 80s. We were capitalists. And we still had those programs. If you went to New York City, you needed to be seen. You didn't have health coverage. You could still be seen at a free or low-cost clinic.
No, I understand that.
But in the state I live in, we have that option as well. If you don't have insurance, there is special pricing for you. And and before anybody jumps on and starts saying blue state, red state, I am in a red state. And I am in a fully red county that has not flipped in decades.
Mm.
And I will tell you, we still have that program here where people with no insurance have the ability to negotiate their pricing, and it does not impact us, the taxpayers, in any way.
That's what I don't believe, though. How does it not affect us if we fund them from taxpayer money? Because
there's already a budget in place for most of these programs. That's what I've never quite understood, is we're not saying, and you can't say, and you can pull this all up, it's evidence, you can look up free clinics in the past, American free clinics.
Hold up, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's free because it's paid for by
they're
taxes.
They're free or they're negotiated. Free so we have to understand this. When we talk about free, it is not just a free system where you think $0. Okay?
Yeah.
It is typically a lower cost system. Meaning, so for me, I have military insurance. I pay, I think it's a $31 copay when I go to be seen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I didn't have insurance, rather than, like in some areas, I go in and I have to pay this astronomical itemized bill, when I go in to be seen, I tell them I have no health insurance and I get a different pay program. That program is a supplemental program. And that is no insurance, meaning I don't have Blue Cross Blue Shield, I don't have Medicare, I don't have Medicaid, I am paying straight out of pocket. The reason I can tell you this exists is because when I transferred from another state here, retired military, we had to go about 30 days without health insurance. It was just some kind of break in the system. There was a glitch. Anybody who used TRICARE can know that it's military grade. It's going to break down.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a different level of pricing. And it was extremely affordable. So free healthcare doesn't necessarily means $0. It can be done on a sliding scale. And we have already budgeted, and a lot of states and a lot of counties and a lot of cities already have a budget for those programs in place and have had them.
So where did those cities get the money for those?
Everybody pause real quick. So yeah, Jessica, I appreciate you. I just want to get Rob in, and I do got to move on to the next caller within the next couple of minutes. All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But I do want to hear what you got to say, Rob. Go ahead, please.
Where did the cities get the money to fund those programs? Like, get the budget for those programs? Like, it always leads to the same thing. It's just taken from the taxpayer money.
Right, but Rob. Well, I want you to, one thing that we got to understand, right? When it comes to these systems, it's not, well, I would say two things. Number one, when it comes to universal healthcare, right, is essentially how insurance is run right now anyway. We're all paying for somebody else because your premium doesn't go into like a little piggy bank for you. And then when you get sick, exactly. It goes into a risk pool. And then all premium. Yeah, exactly. So basically universal healthcare is just taking that and scaling it up. That's all it's doing. But the second thing that I would say is that, yeah, it's taking from the taxpayer, but you can also use it. So it's not something that, yeah, exactly. So it's going to, right. Go ahead.
I understand that. I'm like a huge advocate for like a lot of these social programs, but I don't see how like a lot of like, especially upscaling them is beneficial. Because if anything, it just opens the gateway for people to take advantage and abuse those systems.
Because it opens our pathway to preventative care, which has shown much more beneficial than reactive care. We actually, as countries, and you, again, can look this up, the countries that have universal health care tend to have a higher preventative care system that's more accessible. And so their healthcare costs were much lower because they're not paying for reactive care, meaning this patient had diabetes, had it for 6-7 months, maybe even a couple of years, had no idea. Now it's out of control. Now they're paying for more medication. They're paying for more treatments because now they're paying for the side effects from that care not happening for that time. So preventative care is where you make up all that money.
All that makes sense. All that makes sense, Rob?
Maybe that. Hello? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, does all that make sense to you?
I guess to an extent. Like, it makes sense that, like, like, oh man, sorry, I'm getting a little tired.
No, it's all good because we gotta wrap up anyway. So yeah, I'll let you have the last word, Rob, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. But I appreciate you and Jessica being up here. But go ahead, you can have the last word, and then we could go ahead and wrap up.
No. I appreciate you all being so respectful. But the last word, I don't know. Fuck communism. That's fine.
I mean, yeah, sure, okay. All right, Rob, appreciate you being up here. All right, Jessica, hey, it was good hearing from you. Like I think it's the first time I ever heard your voice, so very good hearing from you.
It is.
Yeah. I'm still in House of Debate. I'm not sure if you're still in that group.
I don't know, honestly. I took a break from all the politics. It got a little crazy there for a while, and I was like, oh, I need to back off. I'm way too moderate for this.
Oh yeah. Paul, it's been rough, man. It's been rough. You know what I mean? And you know what's funny about it is that a lot of people, one thing I've seen is that a lot of people who were censored either got pushed right or pushed left, and people who were like truly censored, like they wanted to get out of all of it, which is something that you did. You just said, screw it, I'm not going to be part of any of it, which is, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Politics does get exhausting.
About party politics. I think party politics is killing our system.
Oh yeah. It's party politics. That's what's killing us. That's what's killing us the worst. Yeah.
Everyone puts our political leanings have become our self ideologies, and it's going to get worse and worse until we all clash.
Yeah, it is.
I hate to see it.
Yeah, it is. All right, but Jessica, go ahead and call in anytime. I do appreciate you. I'm not going to be on, I usually go on Thursday to Sunday. I'm not going to be here tomorrow or Sunday because I'll be with my lady. It's Valentine weekend. We got to go out. You feel me? So,
yes, you do.
Yeah. But next weekend I'll be here. If you want to call in, then if you see anything that you want to talk about, definitely call in. All right.
Yeah, definitely. And hey, take a look into the levy.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I definitely want to take a look into that.
It's a really good system compared to the wealth tax and how OECD determines, the detriment of wealth tax.
Gotcha. All right, Jessica, appreciate you. Thanks so much. All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get to the next calls. We're at 11K likes over on TikTok. Hey, I really appreciate y'all. Right now, the gift is a hat and mustache. You give me a hat and mustache, I'll say Woody's slogan. There's a snake in my boot. So if you give me that hat and mustache, I appreciate y'all over on the TikTok. Go ahead and keep liking that live. Let's get us to about 15K within the next few minutes. If we can do that, I will appreciate you all. We're going to go ahead and get to the next call is 951. And a person calling from an anonymous number, I'll get to you right after 951. 951, how's it going? Just before we start talking, I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who's watching me over on the Deconstruction Junction. Shout out to you if you're watching me over on the Volsitos channel. And shout out to you if you're watching me over on the Black Atheist Coalition. Also over on my Facebook and my Twitch. I appreciate y'all watching me there as well. Call in if you disagree with anything I have on the board. For someone who's in my YouTube comments arguing back and forth with my mod, you can call in, bro. Like, I'm not sure what's going on, what y'all arguing about, but go ahead and call in as well. I don't mind. All right, so 951, I appreciate you being patient. Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
Hey, my name is, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, my name is Mike. I'm 29.
Hi,
and my first time listening in, and it seems like you guys are having a pretty good conversation overall, which is, pretty nice to hear. No name calling or anything like that.
Yeah, sure. It gets it gets annoying, which is it does get annoying, which is why I don't do panels all the time. I don't do panels a lot. But yeah, go ahead. What did you disagree with, if you do disagree?
Well, I actually work in healthcare, and on the administrative side, and there are a couple definitely key points that I do agree with, where there are a lot of administrative costs that are too high. But I did want to point out that a lot of the countries that do have universal health care, also the better ones have more of a hybrid type system. In Canada, they actually have what's called super hospitals. It's not an official term, but it's a term that is used. And what basically they have access to something above and beyond the universal health care. And in all these other countries, you mentioned South Korea, Singapore, even the Nordic countries, they do have options for their citizens to go ahead and actually search for better privatized healthcare than what the universal healthcare can offer. And what that basically shows is that the universal healthcare isn't always good enough. That there is a need for privatized healthcare sectors, especially in specialized areas. And you do see a big influx in patients from other countries coming into the U.S. and not the other way around for special procedures, because a lot of the private healthcare entities have better access to funding for newer types of pharmaceuticals, different machines, smart software, you name it, that wouldn't really manifest in a universal only type of healthcare system, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Like, so I don't
I think you can't have both.
I don't disagree with that. I don't think I think we can possibly have both. Like, one thing that I've said is that the best way to do universal health care in the United States is like there are three ways you can do it, right? You can do Medicare for all, just open up Medicare for everybody. Like, the moment you start working, it doesn't matter if you're 16 years old, you're gonna be paying into Medicare, so you can automatically access it at that age. Or the second way is you just have a public option where the government is basically has a nationalized healthcare system. Basically, it's owned and operated by the government, but like the people who run it are like private. You know what a nationalized system is? Basically like that. It's privately run, owned by the government, essentially. Yeah, you can have that as a public option. Or you can just have complete single payer with private option for luxuries. Yeah, I mean, so like I think the third way is the best way to do it. But I would say because of American culture, the way it is, the first option is probably the best way. Just do Medicare for all because of just the way the American culture is. Like, it's probably the best way. And I think if we do that, if we just do Medicare for all, it'll be a much better, cleaner system than what we have, because a lot more people would probably get off their jobs, healthcare, and just go on to just do Medicare, since they're already paying into it anyway. There'll be no need for them to be in their jobs. They'll just get off that and just use their Medicare. I mean, the Medicare does have good outcomes, but the only thing that I would change with Medicare is that 20% gap. I would get rid of that, make it 100%, because that 20% gap only exists because of racism. So just make it 100%.
Yeah, I think Americans would be more open to it if, like, we have the VA now, the VA system, which is, essentially a public type of healthcare system. And the VA healthcare system doesn't really have a good reputation. Any kind of public healthcare entity, institution, or system that we've ever really had in the United States, and I noticed that, I think her name was Jessica, was kind of mentioning in the 70s and 80s that we had a similar system. Well, it failed. And the thing is, we don't really have a good history in America with the success of having that type of a system. Not to say that it can't work. It's just, in historical context, and even in current context with the VA, it just hasn't been very reputable in comparison to the privatized network. So I think if those things were successful, we would have had a universal healthcare system by now.
So here's what I would ask then. Why is the VA the standard and not Medicare, that has a good reputation and is considered comprehensive coverage and has a very good satisfaction rate? Why do we use the VA, which is not a universal system, and not Medicare, which is?
Why not use the VA? Is that what you're saying?
Right. What I'm saying is that when it comes to the VA does have a bad reputation. I don't disagree with that, right? It does have a bad reputation, but people usually use that as the measuring stick for universal care and not Medicare. And Medicare is considered very good coverage, and it has a good overall satisfaction rate, upwards to like 79 to 80%. It has a very good satisfaction rate. So, and it doesn't have like an out of pocket, right? So, or out of pocket maximum, I would say. So whenever we comparing universal systems, people use the VA, which is not even a universal system, and not Medicare, which it has a good satisfaction rate and it also has a good reputation. So why use that one, not the other? And the second question I would ask is the issues with the VA, that doesn't happen in any other country. The issues with the VA, whenever those issues happen there, is always because of understaffing and underfunding. Whenever a universal system is properly staffed and properly funded, you don't see these issues. So wouldn't the issue with the VA be about staffing and funding and not about the system itself?
Well, yeah, those are very good and interesting points. It's I know that in Medicare, it's mainly for those like 65 and older.
Mm-hmm.
Some younger people with disabilities do qualify it. So it is kind of a smaller pool of funding sources for that population.
Mm-hmm.
Now to fund all the United States with that same measure would be pretty astronomical. I think it would cost like probably more than what the deficit is today, like over $30 trillion, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's less than that. Actually, no, you're not wrong. Go ahead.
I mean, to keep it to the same measure
mm-hmm.
as what you're saying in its success, right? So its current success rate for those that do qualify have massive amounts of funding, which we are able to, fund. But if we were to do a blanket, for the whole of the United States and keep that same measure of outcome, it would cost more than what we can afford. It would cost probably over $30 trillion. If you were to look at the stat.
Yeah, but
I actually did.
Yeah, I got you. So the $30 trillion is actually over the course of a decade, right? It's not, we do Medicare for all, and all of a sudden we have $30 trillion in debt automatically. It'll be over the next 10 decades. I mean, I said not next 10, the next decade. But one thing that it would do is that there is some like research or some data that shows that it may be cheaper in the long run if we do that, because if we keep the current system, it may be more than $30 trillion in the same year. It could be anywhere from like 40 to 50 trillion within the next 10 years if we keep the current system, compared to Medicare for all, which is about 20. You see what I'm saying? So it could be cheaper for us in the long run if we do that. We'll just have to figure out what's the best for us. I mean, that's not the only thing that we can do. If we just go straight to single payer, that may be cheaper for us in the long run. Or if we just have a national or a nationalized healthcare insurance company, like a nationalized one that's, like I said, owned by the government but privately run. If we just have that, and it was part of the government budget, et cetera, if we have something like that, that could probably be cheaper in the long run too, right? We just need another option, because what we have right now isn't working, if that makes sense.
No, and I totally agree. Yeah, and I may have misspoke if I said it would cost over $30 trillion a year. But yeah, it would be in the trillions per year, over $30 trillion for sure in the course of 10 years. I think another layer to it too is, as far as American culture goes, on both sides of the aisle, there's a lot of, mistrust when it comes to government funding for things, I guess. So anytime like the government kind of owns any particular sector, the government doesn't really efficiently run anything. I don't want to say anything, but the government doesn't have a good track record with spending our taxpayer dollars. I think on both sides of the aisle we can agree, which is why, as more of a conservative, though I know I might not agree with everything Donald Trump is doing, I tend to vote for the candidate that proposes taking less taxes out of my wallet, because again, historically the government doesn't really do a good job handling my money. It's often sent to other foreign countries. I don't see the potholes in my on my street being filled. And this is just from my own perspective of things. So that's definitely I think a layer to it too, is a bit distrust in the government itself handling such a massive system. Right. Without there being, tons of fraud and
gotcha. I mean, I got you. Yeah, I got you. But here's the thing, right? I'll always say two things. Number one, whenever folks talk about, the fraud and everything like that in the system, is not as large as we think. Yeah, I mean, because I used to work for a social service company. Not a company. I used to work for social services, right, in my state. Like, fraud does happen. No one denies that fraud happens. But the amount of fraud that people assume that there is is not as much as we think. We would assume that maybe 50-60% of the system is all just fraudulent cases, right? And that's not really the case. It's usually like around 2 to 5%. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think we should throw out the baby with the bathwater when it comes to that. But the second thing that I would say is that a lot of these issues, like how you said, there's layers, like you don't see the potholes being filled in your city. A lot of that is because of private companies. It's not really because of the government. Like even when it comes to social services, right? When I used to assign people, I used to work in a hospital, signing people up for social services. They all thought I was a government worker. I wasn't. I was working for a private company. I was just signing them up for social services for the government system, but I wasn't working for the government. I was working for a private company. You see what I mean? So a lot of these layers and these issues that we run into whenever we interact with something that we think is the government doing it is actually a private company that's wasting your time or wasting your money doing it. It's not even the government. You know what I'm saying? Like these are all the layers that you kind of have to go through before we actually kind of judge whether or not the government does a good job. Now, I do agree with you in principle, right? There are a lot of things that is wasteful, like the wars overseas and stuff like that. We spent 25 years in a quagmire that we shouldn't have been in the first place. I'm pretty sure everybody would agree with that.
Right.
So that was just a huge waste of our time and money and blood because thousands of Americans died for what? You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where in principle, I agree with you, right? And then we see the things like how the Pentagon failed an audit 6 times. So these are some of the things that we think about. They're immediate in our mind that the government is bad at this. So I don't agree.
No, it's just difference in philosophy. I mean, it would be essentially making the government larger, and in order for them to tackle such a thing, and there's the philosophy of not of shrinking the government versus enlarging the government. And I guess from my background perspective, I wouldn't want the government any larger. And not only that, if we were to switch gears to a system like that, I don't think the insurance companies would go away. They are going to profit off of it somehow. And you have major donors, and there is no way that they aren't going to have their hands in this in a way that
I agree with you.
Agree with.
I definitely agree with you.
And it's just we just have to be. If we were to have such a system, I would just be very skeptical of who's getting paid, who's benefiting really from this system.
No, I definitely agree with you. Which is
I don't know.
No, I definitely agree with you that they're going to try to profit off of it, which is why I want money out of politics. Like Citizens United, we need to get rid of it. So it's like these are some of the things that like I think the left and the right could agree with, because a lot of the policies that pass don't even advantage the regular working man. It's going to advantage, the billionaires and multimillionaires, right? So like these are things and we get stuck holding the bag because of it. You see what I'm saying? So like these are things that we can change, right? So, but when it comes to the government and how they spend their money and everything like that, there has been programs within American society that have done well until it was either not funded because of the philosophy of, the government just doesn't do anything. And the best example I can give of that is the Challenger shuttle, right? The Challenger shuttle, what happened there was like NASA lost funding. So in order to get, better, in order to make their deadline, they basically had to hire private companies, and those companies cut corners because they wanted to make a profit. And because of that, the investigation showed that because that private company cut corners and didn't do as much safety as they could have done, we lost 6 lives in the Challenger mission. When if it was properly funded, something like that probably wouldn't have happened. You see what I'm saying? So like, it's not just, the government does not do good with money. It could, like, there's lots of wasteful and dangerous things that happen in the private sector as well. It's more along the lines of the thought process of we need to make money somehow, or we need to save money somehow. So we're either going to cut corners or just not do the job. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's the philosophy we need to get away from, where it's basically profit motive. We have to save or make money somehow, some way. If that philosophy is not as prevalent anymore, I think we would see people do a much better job. That's just in my opinion. If you can let me know.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. It's just I think our country is too capitalist to have too capitalist of a philosophy to have that kind of philosophy. I think our culture is just different, and that's why we haven't had it yet. And I'm sure we've had opportunities. I mean, it was just 25 years ago where we weren't in a deficit. We were in a surplus. We've had opportunities to do this, and I just think that in the current culture that we live in and in our society, I just don't see it happening. Not that I say I'm not trying to say I disagree or I'm pro. I'm just saying I find it very difficult, and that's kind of one of my reasons why.
Yeah, I got you. But that is all the time that we got, though. But if you go ahead and call in any time, Mike, if you like, okay.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, appreciate you. All right, guys. W in the chat for Mike, y'all. I do appreciate anybody who would like to come up and talk, and we have a good conversation. I appreciate that. All right, so I was going back and forth a little bit with someone in my YouTube comments. All right, so Joel in my YouTube comments. The reason why I kept on telling you to call in is because, like, I can't talk to two different people at once, right? I have to listen to my caller, and you are also responding to me. So it's best for you to call in, and then we can hash out what we're talking about instead of me just trying to type to you back and forth. It's basically a waste of both of our time, because right now I don't even see the other question that you ask. After I told you to call in, you said something else, but I don't even see it. You're saying about what's wrong with making money, stuff like that. Like, just call in, bro, because it'll be better for us to talk that way. Because by the time you type something, I'm gonna say something else, and you're gonna type something else. It's just call. Calling is gonna work out better for both of us. All right, but Joe, yeah, still call in, because I know you disagree with something I have on a board. So we might as well talk to each other. Just call in and we'll do it like that. All right, y'all. So over on the Deconstruction Junction, I'm not sure if anyone's calling or if anyone said anything here, but you guys are amazing. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to y'all as well. Hey, Jessica. All right. So it's usually actually not this civilized. Tonight is actually a very good night, and I'm actually happy about tonight. Like, tonight is working out amazingly, because this has been probably the most civil night I've ever had. This has, like, for real, this has probably been the most civil night I have ever had, because people usually call in cussing me out, and you know what it is. I know what it is, right? Because the other nights I'll be having, America was never great and reparations on here. So when I have America was never great and reparations on here, people come in hot. People come in heated. But this is more, we can talk more about this. Y'all are calm. Y'all are chill tonight, and I really, really do appreciate it. We are at 16K over on the TikTok. I appreciate that. Y'all keep tapping that screen. Y'all tap that screen. I do have a gift goal with the hat and mustache. If you send me a hat and mustache, I will say Woody's, I will say Woody's slogan, "There's a snake in my boot," if you send me a hat and mustache. And I definitely appreciate you guys being here. Go ahead and tap that screen. Let's try to get to 20K. Anybody who's in any of the comments, either my Facebook, my Twitch, or any of the YouTubes, any of the 3 YouTubes, you guys can call in. Call in line is right there. Just responding in the comments that doesn't do much for us, y'all. Just call in and let's have the discussion. As you guys can see, I can be civil and we can talk. All right. So I've been on for about an hour and 40 minutes. I'm probably going to be on for about maybe another 30 minutes, maybe another hour. I'm probably gonna be another 30 minutes or another hour. So All right. So Jack in my YouTube asked me if this is a live stream. Well, yeah, it is. And you can call in if you disagree with anything I have on the board. So number 1 says leftist policies are better for society. And number 2 says there is no good evidence for a God. If you want to talk to me about any of those, you can definitely call in. All right. Oh, yeah, Jessica, go ahead and call in again so you can tell me more about the levy, because I definitely want to know about more about that, like, and update my knowledge on that. All right. Shout out to the Deconstruction Junction. Once again, shout out to my TikTok. Tap that screen. We're at 16K. Let's try to get us to 20K within the next few minutes. All right. All right. We have 321 coming to the board, and 770. I'm gonna get you right after 321.
Hello.
321. How's it going? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
I'm 75 years old. The
and your name?
Democrats are giving the store away.
Wait, hold on. Can I get your name, please?
My name is Frank.
Frank. All right, Frank. How's it going? So, the first thing you said, your background is kind of loud, Frank. I'm gonna need you to get away from your background.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you.
I'm shutting it down.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So
I'm sorry about that.
All good. Now, the first thing you said, Frank, was something about Democrats. Not sure why we're talking about Democrats, but go ahead and let me know what you think.
The house away. You can't give the house away to people who never built it. You know what I'm saying? We are already sending money overseas to aid people in South America as well as Africa, although Africa was cut short. These people should have built their own. Americans are no smarter than the other rest of the people in South America and Central America. All they have to do is hunker down and make right decisions, build businesses, not send drugs to America, and then they can do well also.
Frank, what are you talking about?
That's what I don't like.
Hold on. Pause real quick. What are you talking about?
I'm thinking we cannot give free housing, free welfare, free food stamps to immigrants who never built this thing here.
I'm not even sure what that means. Like you're saying that we can't. Hold on. You're saying that we can't give free housing to immigrants who've never built anything here. That really depends on where they go. That's the first thing, and the second thing. And the second thing is that when it comes to housing, I think guaranteed housing should be a thing in America. Period. Not just to immigrants, but just period. Free, not free housing, but guaranteed housing should be a thing. Meaning that homelessness in the wealthiest country on the planet, the wealthiest country in existence, should not be a thing. We should be taking care of the homeless problem, right? So I think we both would agree there.
You take care of the veterans.
Hold on, wait, Frank, hold on. Yeah, I agree. We should take care of the veterans. We should take care of our homeless people that are already here. We should be taking care of that. I agree with that. But what does it have to do with immigrants?
Illegal immigrants came here by force. They broke the gate. They broke the fences. So they can't be given so many freebies while there are people here in America, black, white, yellow, and red, who are not receiving.
Frank, what freebies do you think illegal immigrants are getting? Because again, this depends.
Excuse me.
Hold on. This depends highly on your state. And not only that, wouldn't it be better if they're actually housed somewhere instead of being out in the street? Because that will cause problems if they're out in the street. Not only that, Not only that, there are no gates. Our borders are not hard like that. There are, walls and stuff like that. But most people who become undocumented in America become undocumented due to overstaying a visa, not because it's just border hopped. And border hopping is not anything like breaking into America or violent crime. It's just crossing an imaginary line, basically.
That was a manner of speaking when I say when they broke the fence and broke the gate. That's a manner of speaking. What I'm saying is, there is a process in place for them to come in. Instead of just giving their governments free money, we should encourage their governments to build it up for the people, just like Ibrahim Traore is doing in Africa. He's helping the little man.
Yeah, Frank,
the poor people.
Frank, hold on. In order for them to build themselves up, it requires foreign investment as well, right? So when you say to instead of giving them money, tell them to build themselves up, how are they gonna do that without investment? You have to invest in them.
America,
but hold on,
Frank,
hold on, chill, bro. What I'm saying is that these are vague, abstract things you're talking about. When you say they're sending money all over the world, what exactly does that mean? We have to actually look at where the money is for, where it's going, because a lot of times it's not just going for the to those governments for them to invest in something. It's going to either towards some investment, and that investment in those companies are actually not giving back to the people. Like, for example, you mentioned Africa before. We all know about neocolonialism in Africa. These European and American companies, they're quote unquote investing into Africa, but we all know that they're just taking advantage of the resources there and paying the people their absolute shit. And our American government is encouraging that. So of course, when that happens, you're going to get people to say that there's no opportunities here and we can't build anything. So what are they going to do? They're going to leave. So
okay,
isn't what you're saying gonna make things over there worse? It's not just to give money over there. They should actually do something to invest in properly in those countries for them to build themselves up, right?
Okay, in Burkina Faso, for example, Ibrahim Traore is not receiving money from America. He's not receiving money from China. He's not receiving money from Russia. He is building up what there is in Burkina Faso and giving the average little poor person schools, homes. 70,000 homes have been built. Roads have been built. And people have jobs doing these things. I'm not heartless, okay? I know they have to have money, but America has been sending money all over the world.
All right, okay? So Frank. Again, I get it. America has been sending money all over the world, and Ibrahim Traore is building up his country by making sure that neocolonial powers do not take advantage of his resources anymore. I agree with you.
Exactly.
I agree with you. So these countries should do the same thing. Make sure that America doesn't take advantage of them anymore. The issue is that America has a military that's a lot more powerful. We saw what happened in Venezuela. So we shouldn't be mad. We shouldn't be mad at those countries or people coming from those countries.
I'm not mad at them.
Wait, but Frank,
I'm not mad at them.
So Frank,
I'm saying,
Frank, hold on. Frank, wait, Frank, hold on. What I'm saying is that the reason why immigrants come here is specifically because American foreign policy damaged their countries. So when those people come over here and we say that they're breaking the line, they're doing this, that, and the third, at the end of the day, that's America's fault. So we should probably change our foreign policy instead of, trying to either be upset or point fingers at the illegal immigrants. They're here because of what our government did, right?
There should be an Ibrahim Traore in Colombia, in Venezuela, in Honduras, in Mexico.
Agreed.
To use in Venezuela. That's all I'm saying.
Agreed.
I'm not saying to let them starve. Well, then, instead of blaming us for not doing the right, let's pray to God that they bring up their own heroes who are trying to help the little man, okay? Ibrahim Traore is not letting any American, any Russian take anything out of his country without giving. So that's all I'm saying.
No, okay? I agree with that, right? No, hold on. So okay. It's not that I don't disagree with that, right? It's not that I don't disagree with that. I agree that these countries need to, like how my mom said, "Mete garçon sous." I'm gonna use some patriarchal language right now, but yeah, they should man up. You know what I mean? Like hold your nuts. You know what I'm saying? They need to do that. Just like how Ibrahim Traore did. Now, the thing is, though, what the issue with that is, even though we agree with that on principle, at the end of the day, we have to understand something. America's military is a lot more powerful. So the moment they start doing that, we know what's going to exactly. We know what's going to happen. So over on our part, we need to make sure that we punish our representatives by either not voting for them or making it be known that we don't want them to involve themselves in foreign places anymore. But yes, I do agree with you that, you know, South America, these countries need to build up their military, somehow build up a certain force so America won't take advantage of it anymore. I do agree with that in principle. It's just when it comes to immigration, I don't blame them for coming over here. There needs to be something that it has to be done in an orderly fashion. I do agree with that. And the process of them coming over here and said, hey, I'm seeking asylum, I need a place to stay. That is a process. That is an actual legal process to do. Right. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not really upset with them. I'm really more with what the government is doing in other countries, if that makes sense to you.
Well, it makes sense because there have been at least 20 efforts to get rid of Ibrahim Traore, okay? Because he's not taking a whole lot of money. He's just getting the money of a captain. He's not, you know, trying to pile up the money in his pocket. He's saying whatever there is in the country, the people should benefit from it, whether it be Venezuela, whether it be in New Guinea, whether it be in Colombia, whether it be in Mexico. Help the little man.
Agree.
That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree.
God bless you.
Yeah, I agree, Frank. I just want to last thing before you get out of here. Last thing I want to say is that Hugo Chavez did do that, and America was against it. So these are all the problems. These are some of the issues that we have, right? Like, for example, Sankara over in Burkina Faso before Traore. That's why France killed him, because of what he wanted to do. So I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. It's just that,
or in Libya,
and Gaddafi, exactly.
Yeah,
so
they killed Gaddafi.
Exactly.
He was giving free housing, free health care to all the people. But we can't stop doing it. We can't. I mean, I'm talking about those people who are poor.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Trying to keep America out of your business.
No, I agree.
France out of your business, and Great Britain, because they have enough resources to stand up and do what they want to do. That's all I'm saying. Okay, if we take care of the veterans, if we give some of these empty houses to the homeless, then we could give to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know what it is.
Right. I agree with that.
I'm 75 years old, and I've been through so much, my friend. I know how contrary to the little person the government can be.
Gotcha.
Like Trump gave money to those who are already wealthy, and he took the health care and the lunch of the little ones. We got to talk. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And these people have to keep on trying as long as they are living.
All right, gotcha. All right, so
America is not.
Yeah. All right. So Frank,
I agree with you.
Yeah. We agree in principle. Just we just coming at it from different angles. But I do appreciate you, Frank. I got to go ahead and get to another call. All right. Appreciate you.
Have a nice one.
You too. All right, guys. I'm gonna get to 770 and 267 in a minute. Those might be my last calls if anyone else doesn't call in. So again, for the person that I said that person who lied on me and said that you should get a house for breathing, that's not what I said. Guaranteed housing doesn't mean you just get a house for breathing. What it means is that we make sure that homelessness doesn't happen, which means that we find housing for you, which means that as a society, we know that homelessness is one of the worst things that a person can go through. So there should be programs in place that if you get evicted or you just can't find a place to live, there should be a program in place that says, all right, we're going to go ahead and get you into some sort of subsidized housing, some sort of transient housing until you can go ahead and get jobs, or there's a snake in my boot. You go ahead and get a job or settle yourself in order for you to get out there and live. You just don't get a house for breathing. That's not what I said. There's a snake in my, never mind. You don't get a house just for breathing. That's not what I said. So instead of lying about what I said or just not fucking listening, why don't you just call in and we can have the discussion? Otherwise, you just look stupid. All right. 770. How's it going, 770? All right. How's it going, 770? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with anything I had on the board?
B, it's me. It's Jessica.
Oh, it's Jessica. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm calling from a different line.
Gotcha.
That was a very interesting take. I guess we can go back to the taxes if you wanted to know a little bit about that.
All right, give me 1 second. All right. So Section 8 is a lottery. This is how I know you don't know what you're talking about. Section 8 is a lottery, my guy. Section 8 is not guaranteed housing, you fucking idiot. It's a lottery. So why don't you actually, like again, call in and we can actually have a discussion. And okay, so Jesus Christ. This is why I say call in. Yeah, I'm gonna ignore everything else that you said. I have a show to run. I'm not gonna just talk to you, period. Actually call in. All right, and if you don't call in, I'm just gonna go ahead and mute you from the live because obviously you're being a coward. All right, so Jessica, yeah, go ahead and tell me about levy. How's that work?
Hey, so what it is still a wealth tax. It's a different type of levy. Mm-hmm. So Spain actually has a great model which we can really take from. They have what's called progressive tax. It goes from 0.16% to 3.5%, and it's wealth on stocks above a certain amount, right? Mm-hmm. But Switzerland also does, which I think could work because one of the points I wanted to hit on, I forgot the caller's name, but he made a great point, right? Most people don't realize our wealthy we're not getting taxes from their income tax. They don't pay income tax usually. Mm-hmm. They use a loophole. Yeah. So what it does is it actually taxes their assets and their stocks nationally and internationally. So it's a net worth tax. So even if they say, hey, all my money's tied up in stocks, which he had a great point, that is really what is going to happen is they're just going to, their money isn't fluid, it isn't liquid. You're actually taxing their assets instead. And you're saying, okay, well, you have this much in your net worth. Mm-hmm. These are your assets here and abroad. So we're going to tax those assets and you're going to pay on that.
Okay.
Because they're not paying any tax anyway. Right.
Okay. So that's actually what I was thinking about. I just didn't have the language for it, but exactly what you're explaining, that's exactly what I was thinking about. So yeah. So that's a better way to explain it. I just thought it was wealth tax and not levy. So levy makes more sense now, but that's exactly what I was thinking about. I think we should do that.
And the reality is they have homes in the countries that do this already. So they're actually accustomed to paying these taxes because they have to pay in those areas for those assets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what we should do. Levying will work out to tax, like you said, tax their assets, and maybe we can fund all of these things. But that's exactly what I was thinking about. I just thought it was called something else. But yeah, I appreciate that, Joseph.
The way to prevent the mom and pop, like he was saying, hey, but what about mom and pop shops? Is you can use Spain's model where it's a scale. So it's 0.16 for people up to a certain, that hit a certain fund, but then it goes even higher the more assets you have. That way, we're not decreasing people wanting to build businesses here. We're not decreasing people saying, hey, let me be an entrepreneur. We're actually giving them an incentive to do it because they don't have to worry about, wait, hold on, now I'm going into a tax bracket, which currently we have that. If you go into a certain tax bracket, you're going, oh God, look at what I'm paying versus what I paid. If I take $10,000 less and negotiate for more PTO days instead, right? Mm-hmm. Or, hey, let me not build the business up to this level because I don't want to go into that tax bracket because it's going to actually bring my income down. You can actually fix it right there. So I think if we look more towards, Spain, very much Spain, but Switzerland and how they handle taxing the wealthy, we could see a great system here.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hey, just definitely, I appreciate that, and we'll definitely talk more. All right, thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely, and love the civil conversation. I really do. I gotta say, I really appreciate when people can have these discussions without, feeling the need to insult. And we could be adults. That's how we're going to progress in society, by leading this way.
Definitely. Hey, appreciate it, though. Just we'll talk soon. All right.
All right. Bye.
All righty. All right, 267. I'm gonna get to you. 267 and 508. I'm not sure why you dropped out. Go ahead and call back in, and we can keep on talking. 267. How's it going? 267. Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with something I had on the board?
Hey, my name is D. I'm 42.
Oh my God!
D 42.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, D. All right, so D for 42. Oh, sorry about that, D. I muted you on mistake. Sorry about that, D. I muted you by mistake. Yes, okay? Yeah, I can hear you now. All right, so D, how's it going, D?
So
which one did you disagree with, if you did?
I didn't disagree. I actually I'm a leftist. I actually wanted to talk a little bit about Ibrahim Traore, and I think the war, and essentially that we spent $24 trillion over the past 40 years on war. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem with a lot of people in America is that they don't really grasp how much money is being essentially just extorted out of the American taxpayer in order to justify another excuse to not spend money on them. Mm-hmm. That the reason that we spend $24 trillion over the past 40 years on not a single justifiable war is in order to rob people of their hard-earned money. That the richest people in the country are taking loans out on the money that we're literally paying them loans in order to fund these wars. That they're making interest on not only the tax money that we pay them, mm-hmm. but it's in perpetuity. It's paid to them in order to satisfy their and justify their ownership of America. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we don't have a legitimate talk about both sides, that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are both corrupt and in on the scheme, and that we are actually in a class war, and that we need to make drastic changes in our society in order to rectify this. That there is no voting in politicians and representation that adequately addresses these systematic failures in our current society. Oh. That, you know, these Epstein files and all these things that are being released are just
has proven that
symptomatic of
yeah, exactly, our system.
Sorry?
No, like yeah, what you were saying, like the Epstein files certainly show that exactly what people on the left has been saying this entire time, where, you know, these rich and powerful people are basically abusing the system and abusing people, and in this case abusing children. You know what's funny, what I found about the Epstein files, D, is that you get a lot of these highly conservative people that always talking about we're trying to protect the children, which is why they're against, you know, trans people and stuff like that. But the Epstein files wasn't a whole bunch, was a whole bunch of white straight men. You know what I'm saying? Some black men too. We're not gonna pretend that Jay-Z wasn't in there. He was in there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, it was a whole bunch of straight men. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the drag queens, it wasn't the trans people who was in those Epstein files. You see what I'm saying? So when they talk about, you know, protecting the children and they're doing jack shit about this, it's kind of crazy to me. But D, I think we do agree basically 99% of the way, probably even 100% of the way. I do got to move on to the next one, but I appreciate you. Always call back and sub to me. All right, I appreciate you though.
For sure.
Not a problem. I appreciate you though, D. All right, guys, we're gonna go move on to 724. We're gonna go ahead and move on to Jessica told me that they crash Grindr every big city they go to. No, that's facts, bro. Like they be like a lot of these, you know, so-called a lot of these the most homophobic people that you would see, they crash Grindr every single time. They crash Grindr every single time, bro. It's so it's hilarious, man. 724. Steve 40.
Yeah. The main topic of the housing.
Housing?
A lot of the reasons that, how you wanted to have supplementary housing for people.
Yeah, guaranteed housing. I think as a country, like for example, Finland solved their entire homeless thing. Finland basically solved homelessness by doing a program called Housing First, where instead of like putting you into any type of like welfare program or anything like that, they'll just try to find you some housing, right? Like either empty housing or somewhere in a hotel, some sort of transient housing, and subsidize that until you're back on your feet. Yeah, I mean, so I think we could do something like that in America, and Section 8 doesn't do that because Section 8 is just a lottery system. It doesn't actually resolve our homeless issues. But go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Section 8 to me is a roach motel. Like you check in and it's very hard to get out of it. Like, I don't know. I grew up in it when I was younger. And one thing I can say about that is the more money you make, the more they charge you. So it's hard to save money to even get out of it.
Exactly.
You know, you almost have to have a under the table job or something to where you can save the money to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
The other thing is like Finland has a very small population and their immigration system isn't like ours. One of the main things and drivers of the cost of housing in the United States right now is the fact that everybody's taking up all the houses. And a lot of the rental properties were brought up by companies, and, you know, the boomers own a lot of properties for rental properties.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the reason that mortgage costs and everything went up is because of the shortage of houses.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't believe that the government should go into competition to subsidize housing throughout the country because it will drive the property pricing up. You know, so the normal American will then have to pay $300,000-$400,000 for a $50,000 house.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the shortage of houses. You see what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that, right? I mean, the big problem with our shortage of houses is that I don't think we never actually truly recovered from 2008, essentially, when housing demand blew up and then, you know, 2008 happened and the demand sunk. We never actually got back to building those houses again from that time. You know what I mean? So that's one of the main reasons. That, and not only that, our zoning laws are one of the main issues. And I also think one of the things that we can do, right, that I've always said, I grew up in Miami. In Miami, if you go towards downtown, you're going to see all those skyscrapers and those luxury apartments, all that bullshit, right? But a few miles away is a place called Overtown, which is getting gentrified, which used to be the Harlem of the South, but it got bulldozed over for the highway. But that's another topic. But you have downtown, you have Overtown, and then you have an industrial district, right? And in that industrial district, you have like 3 or 4 abandoned hospitals. Those 3-4 abandoned hospitals have been there for the past like 30-40 years. Ever since I was a kid. I think one of the hospitals is shut down when I was like 6 years old. But I went down there again, like for a funeral that I had down there. I went down there again just to look to drive around the city, see what changed. That abandoned hospital is still there, and it's been 30 years. It's been 30 years. That hospital is still there. It's a completely abandoned building. That can be retrofitted into at least about 200 rooms for transient housing, because guess what? Right in front of that abandoned hospital, literally right in front of it, guess what you have? Skid Row. A whole bunch of people just sleeping on the street. And they can just retrofit that abandoned place to put those people in there, have them get back on their feet. You know what I'm saying? Because one of the things that affects people the most when they're homeless is, you know, their stress, you know, their mental health. So they can't get jobs and stuff like that. But if they have an address, their mental health gets better and everything like that. They can find a job and they can save up and get an apartment. That's what I mean by guaranteed housing. We can do that as a country. Florida makes more money than it spends. The city of Miami has surpluses every single year. You know what I'm saying? So it can do it. It is the political will to do it, if that makes sense to you.
It makes sense. The only thing is, and this is my question when it goes to anything that has to do with the government or even to private nonprofits or anything like that, is which angel do you think that would be an angel to run it? Because like we have the homeless in California and that get billions of dollars a year and there's nothing to show for it. You know, like I'm more concerned not to the goodwill, but the fact that the money would be used
inappropriately
for other things. You know.
No, this is a. I'm sorry. What you're saying, Steve? Go ahead. Okay. Yeah. I'm saying. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We're just talking over.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
No, I don't disagree with you, right? I don't disagree with you in principle. It is concerning because it's not just the government that has a problem with it. It's also charities. Like I think they said that exactly. I think they said like the Red Cross only spends like 10% of every dollar on actual services. So yeah, it's a concern. Yeah, it's definitely a concern. Like yeah, it's definitely a concern. So I don't really disagree with you there, right? So I think that there needs to be more legislation in place. Like for example, one thing that whenever I speak to Christian conservatives, right, they always tell me that, you know, Jesus didn't say for the government to handle it. It said for you yourself as an individual to handle it. I disagree with that interpretation, but I'm an atheist, so I'm not going to take my thing seriously. I disagree with that interpretation, but one thing that I've always said is that the government doesn't necessarily have to run the charity, right? If we're gonna, what we can do to help the homeless is that the government itself can put in legislation like a charity law that says that if you're going to be a charity, you have to use 75 cents of every dollar to go directly to charity. It can't be 90 cents of every dollar is administrative costs. Like we know y'all just taking the money. You know what I mean? We know y'all just pocketing that shit. You feel me saying? Y'all not really doing nothing with it. So if 75 cents of every single dollar has to be spent on the actual charity and the other quarter is then spent on administration, you can shrink the administration and use more of that money to actually help the people in need. And not only that, if you streamline that currency, now you get people who are actually qualified to do those jobs. And we can say that we require you to have, you know, staff on hand that are counselors, that are therapists, that are psychiatrists. You have to have that type of staff on hand if you're going to be running a charity that does guaranteed housing. You feel what I'm saying? Now, the government is going to fund it, but 75 cents of every dollar that you spend has to go towards actually helping the homeless instead of just pocketing the money. Now, would that make sense to you, Steve? Would a program like that be better?
With the proper legislation and the proper oversight, because legislation don't mean nothing without the oversight.
Mm-hmm. No, and agreed.
You know, but there was one other topic, because I think we pretty much agree on that part. One other topic that was actually the last caller about the military budget and that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people realize that how much of the actual trade around the world is controlled by the U.S. military.
A lot of it.
Like, if the U.S. military actually shrank and disappeared from the global scene, like a lot of these countries don't even have navies enough to protect their own ships because they depend on us to do it. And yeah, we take advantage of it a lot, and that's obvious too. But like, if it wasn't for the United States controlling the oceans the way they do, like places like Brazil, who depend highly on fertilizers and highly on potash, you know, like they would starve without open trade to the seas, you know? I just wanted to say that a lot of people, like, we're everywhere there is a good reason for it. It's not just, we're taking this, we're taking that. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I get that part, right? I'm not naive. I do understand that America projecting power across the seas for a lot of people that protects their trade. I get that part. I do get it. The thing is, when it comes to the military budget, I think it's more of issue of, this is a popular example, the Pentagon failing audits, 6 times, where they get billions of dollars and having no idea where it went. Stuff like that needs to be tightened up. Or Raytheon getting another military contract for 10, 15, 20 billion dollars, and they're making more weapons of they're making more Reaper drones or more F-35s that we may not need. You know what I'm saying? So, but of course there's also the thing of, we don't want to fall behind geopolitical enemies, stuff like, it's a balance to it, but it's more of the issue of wasteful spending and spending that we don't actually need to do. You see what I'm saying? So it's more along that lines. I get, we have to, keep up with, other militaries, geopolitical issues, et cetera, et cetera. That's just the way of the world. A lot of my leftists don't really like when I talk like that, but right now that's the issue. That's the situation that we're in. So we have to approach it with the situation that we're in. I would like us to lower our military spending. I don't think we need a whole bunch of F-35s. I think we need to do, like, the way we interact with the world. We need to interact with the world in the point of, are we always going to see each other as enemies and have weapons pointed at each other? Or can we do more things that is good for humanity? Do we need to be in militaristic competition where one day we're preparing to go to war with each other? Does it have to be that? Or can we work together to, colonize the moon or some shit? I think it should be more of the second one than the first one. But right now we're in the first one. You know what I'm saying? But I think we should be working towards the second one instead of being in the first one. Does that make sense to you, Steve?
Yeah, well, just an easier way to put it is if we actually would quit looking at each other like China and Russia and all that as global threats to us,
mm-hmm.
and just look at them as economic competition, which is what they actually are,
mm-hmm.
Things would go a lot more smooth.
I agree.
But the demonization of all these countries, like Iran, Iran can't do nothing. Like, why are we concerned about Iran?
Yeah.
And, China and Russia, they're just trying to make it like we are. Like, they're a different country and a different nationality and all that, but we do it to them. But I think a lot of that has to, it's that old Cold War mentality where you have to look at your economic,
situation. Yeah, I got you. No, I got you. I know what you mean.
Instead of like, oh, this has to be a hot war or anything like that. Like, it's an economic war. That's what it is. Like, China's moving in here for resources and they want to open up trade with their deals. Russia's the same thing. Like, yeah, there's a Ukraine-Russia thing, but that's a long story. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If people start acting like they're not full-on blown enemies, like, we've never been to war with Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
They're just excellent powerhouses, and we got to boogeyman them to do what we have to do. And that part, I think we need to just move past the whole Cold War thought process.
I agree. We need to move past that. We don't need to be hot mortal enemies. We could just be, all right, I'm trying to have a better economy than you, and we're gonna compete over who has a better trade deal and stuff like that. And we can laugh and have a beer about it at the end of the day and be like, okay, let's try to get to the moon. That's what we should do. You know what I mean? I don't think it needs to be any type of hot, we're going to try to we're gonna try to take each other out. It doesn't have to be that. I agree with that. But hey, Steve, I do appreciate that. I think we're basically at an agreement. Is that all right? I'll move on to the next caller.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
You too. All right, we're gonna get to 562 in a second. All right, 562. Just be patient with me. I'm gonna get to you right in a minute. All right, y'all. I appreciate all y'all for being here. We're gonna close out in a moment. 562 is probably gonna be my last caller. For the person who's been in my YouTube comment section, I think your name is Joel. Again, I've been telling you for like the past hour and a half, just call in because I can't respond to you. I'm not sure you're talking to me or you're talking to my mod. I'm not sure you're talking to. So you're talking to my mod, go ahead and talk to my mod. But if you're talking to me, you got to call in because I'm not going to be able to see the comments. I'm not going to be able to know what's going on. So, but I mean, I can see the comments, but I'm not going to be reading them the same time as I'm talking to somebody else. But once again, y'all, we're at about 18K over on TikTok. Tap that screen one more time, y'all. Please tap that screen. Let's try to get to 20K by the end of the night. If we can get to 20K by the end of the night, y'all, I would appreciate it, and I would love that to be the case. Over on the Deconstruction Junction, if you disagree with what I have on the board, once again, the number is right here: 786 751 7853. I do see someone else that talked about China, but I'm not sure what your comment is about. China's new planes. I mean, we still outbeat China when it comes to planes. So, all right. If you're watching me over on the Black Atheist Coalition, you could go ahead and call in as well. I'm not sure what's going on over there because, again, I haven't been reading the comments. I don't read the comments. Y'all don't go back and forth in the comments. So just call in. If you're watching me on Twitch or Facebook, I appreciate you there as well. 562, I am bringing you up right now. All right, 562, I appreciate you being here. Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with something I had on the board?
Hello, my name is Francisco, 21 years old, and I disagree with you on almost everything, I think.
All right, Francisco, 21. Which one would you like to talk to start with? Number one or number two?
I guess we could talk about God.
All right, sure. Give me 1 second. All right, cool. Yeah, sure. We can talk about number two. Yeah, I don't think there is good evidence for a God. What evidence will you say that there is? And when I say evidence, I mean something that's testable, demonstrable, repeatable. I don't think philosophical arguments are really evidence because I can make a philosophical argument I can use the tag argument for Olodumare, which is the god of West African voodoo, West African Yoruba religion, right? So I don't really take it as evidence of anything for any specific god. You can use it for anything. But in your opinion, what would be the best evidence?
Well, first, I think we could both agree that Jesus Christ was an historical figure, right?
Yeah, sure. That's likely the case. Sure.
Okay, so we got that mark checked. Jesus Christ was an historical, real figure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have a conversation about his divinity. You doubt his divinity?
The divinity is what I doubt. Yeah. Him being a real person, I don't have a beef with. I do know there are people out there who are mythicists who say that Jesus never existed, or even Paul never existed. I'm more on the line that we have a little bit of evidence of Paul, right? So I'm not really a mythicist. So whenever I say that, Jesus doesn't exist, I'm also talking about the Jesus of the Bible, the divine person that walked on water and flew to the sky like Superman. That's the one I say didn't really exist. But a guy walking around being a preacher, or even an amalgamation of 12 guys who did something similar, and the story just became Jesus. Yeah, sure. I don't have a problem with that person existing. So just to wrap up, I know that was long-winded. Just to wrap up, yeah, I don't have an issue with Jesus the guy existing. It's the divinity part I have an issue with.
Okay, let's talk about his divinity. That's where we disagree, because I believe he's true divinity and you don't. Okay, so let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. I say there's good evidence that what he claimed to be was really true. When his tomb was empty, he was the only Messiah figure to rise from the grave. And 500 Jews, I believe, converted, and they died for that belief. And a psychology trait is there's a trait in psychology: you don't die for a lie. You don't die for a lie. So they claim to really have seen him, rise from the grave. So yeah.
Right. So I agree with you that people don't die for something that they know was a lie, but people can die for a lie. Or people can die for something that's not true, because a lie means that I agree with you that people don't die for things that they know was a lie, right? That usually doesn't happen, most likely. But people can die for things that are not true. And we've seen that throughout history, right? Like, for example, Jim Jones. People thought that Jim Jones was a messianic figure, and he wasn't, and people died for that. You see what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily because they died for it. That means it has to be true. If that was the case, then we will have to say that, you know, people who died in the name of Zeus, you know what I mean, or people who died in the name of, you know, being sacrificed to the Aztec gods were all telling the truth too. So therefore, the Aztec gods exist. You're not going to be sacrificing someone anytime soon. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I would say to that part, right? But the second part that I would say is for your first comment of, you know, the tomb and everything like that. Yeah, sure. We're not sure, or we don't know what happened to Jesus' body. That doesn't mean what the Bible says. Hold on. But that doesn't mean what the Bible says is automatically true. We don't know what happened to his body. And Joseph of Joseph of Arimathea, that guy, he probably didn't even exist. You know, I mean, there's no historical record of him at all. There's no archaeological record of him at all. We have no idea. We don't even know if Arimathea was a real city. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way to show that Jesus was taken out from a cross and buried in a tomb. So, like, we don't know what happened with the body, but that doesn't mean that what the Bible says happened is actually true.
Yeah. Wait, you don't believe in him being crucifixed?
No, the crucifixion is fine, right? Because like I don't have an issue with that. It's what
there's historians that say that, you know.
Yeah, I'm fine with that part.
Yeah,
it's like I'm fine with that part. The Jesus being a guy who preached and then was crucified by the Romans for being an enemy of the state and spreading superstition and stuff like that, whatever he died for, I don't have an issue with that. Like that's all good and well. It's the
so you think he was a lunatic?
I don't think he was a lunatic, but he was basically the modern day Mr. Beast.
Well, that's blasphemy, man. I know you're an atheist, but that's blasphemous. Mr. Beast is a fake and a phony.
Yeah.
You know, he has that smile, but he's a fake.
Yeah.
And backstage, you know.
Yeah. So when it comes to, okay, maybe not Mr. Beast was the because I don't think Jesus was a lunatic or a complete and total phony. I think he was.
Jesus, he did not like the banks. He did not like corporations, and Mr. Beast is all into that.
Exactly. So when it comes to Jesus, right? I wouldn't say that. Yeah. When I say modern day Mr. Beast, I'm talking about like he was an influencer. Essentially, he was a guy who saw a different interpretation of the Torah, and he went around preaching it, and it became really, really popular. So he was an influencer, essentially.
No, what he was preaching was the truth. He was the Son of God, you know.
Right, but how do we prove by God? How do we prove that he was the Son of God, or that a God even exists in the first place? That's what we need to get to first. We just can't assume he was.
Can you prove to me that Napoleon Bonaparte existed? That Leonardo da Vinci existed?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, are you gonna doubt that Napoleon Bonaparte actually existed?
No, I'm not doubting. I'm just saying we know Jesus existed. At least we got that part. Mm-hmm. It was very unlikely back in the day for people to take women's testimony seriously. I forgot to bring that up because the first people who saw his tomb empty were women. I think Mary Magdalene and 2 other women. So it's very unlikely that people would take women's testimony truthful, but they did. And, 500 Jews converted, and 200 years later, the Roman Empire converted to Christianity. I mean, this guy was pretty big, man. This guy's pretty big, man.
Yeah,
they
but
just call him a prophet. I don't know, man.
Right, but
there's something behind him. There's something behind him, man. I'm telling you, man.
Francisco, what I'm saying is that someone being really, really popular.
He was the only Messiah to come back to life. Messiahs didn't.
Actually, I don't think that's. I don't think that's Francisco. Hold on, Francisco. Chill. Francisco, chill. Okay, I'm gonna have to mute you because you don't want to chill. All right. So when it comes to the entire thing about Messiahs rising from the dead, I don't think Jesus was the only one. Don't quote me on that though, but I don't think he was the only one. I think there were other dying and rising gods. Jesus wasn't the only one. But when it comes to, he was a big guy. He was very, very popular. Yeah, but so what? Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really show anything. Neither does, them, not taking women seriously. So what? Yeah, I mean, if anything, that'll probably make the story stronger because then you could go out there and say, oh, look, even women say it. know what I'm saying? So I don't think that really shows anything. You know what I'm saying? But like the entire thing that I'm trying to say, Francisco, is that we need to actually show what this story says is true. And because we can't go back in time, there's no way to actually do that. So what are the other ways that we can actually show something supernatural at all? Because we've never shown, it's not just about Jesus. It's about anything supernatural. We've never been able to show that historically. We've never been able to show anything supernatural. If we're able to do that, if we're able to show that, you know, the dragons from Chinese mythology were actual real things, real beings, even that would probably give some credence to the Jesus story, because now we have something to go off of. Oh, the supernatural actually can be real. But we haven't shown anything supernatural ever. It's never happened. So how will we show that Jesus was the Son of God? I'm gonna take you off mute now.
Yeah, good question. And it's a hard question. I'm not gonna lie. But what I will say is, you know, God doesn't need to, show you. It's common sense that God exists. The design of the earth. Morality, and what else? All that stuff. When you look at a painting, that painting didn't just come up by itself. There had to be a painter behind that.
Yeah, but the problem is that
that's the same thing with the globe. That's the same thing with
right. I got you.
Everything. That's the same thing with
I got you.
Having a heart, us having love.
I got you. Francisco, I got you. Francisco, hold on.
I'm talking to you right now.
Francisco, hold on.
Kind of
Francisco,
intelligence.
Francisco
who created us.
Francisco, chill. Okay, I got you.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The problem here is that you're assuming that that Earth or even humans are a deliberate creation. Basically, we're deliberately put here. You're assuming that to be the case. How do you actually show that? Hold on. How do you actually show that, though?
Marvin?
How do you actually show that to be the case? Because what are you comparing the universe to?
What am I comparing the universe to? I'm not comparing it to anything. I'm just telling you that, there has to have been a high power, intelligent mind behind this.
Right. So, So that's the problem.
There's no way we pooped. There's no way we pooped out of nowhere. There's just absolutely no way, man.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
There's no God. There's
right. That's not. Hold on.
Such thing as morality.
Francisco. You got
everything is preference.
Francisco, slow down. So yeah. When I say what are you comparing it to, when you say you're not comparing it to anything, that's the issue right there. Because in order for you to know something is deliberate, in order for you to know something is artificial, you need to compare it to something. The way that we know a silk rose away from a natural rose is because we can actually compare them down to a cellular level. If you can't do that with the universe, how then can you determine that the universe is artificial? You can't compare it to anything else. So like that's the problem right there, right? Like you're not comparing to anything, you're just saying that it's artificial, which makes it an assumption.
Yeah, where do you get your morals from, dude?
Empathy, like all of us.
No, subjective. You're subjective, right? Your morals are subjective,
and so are you.
Pause. Let's talk about it. If society decided today that slavery was going to be okay, you have no right to say that that's wrong, because that's the preference. Society is moving towards that direction.
Yes, I do.
That slavery is okay.
Francisco.
You have no right to say that that's
Francisco.
Bad,
yes, I do.
Morality is subjective.
Yeah, and so is yours.
But
that's number one.
Morality is no matter what.
Francisco.
Nobody should be owned.
Okay. So number one, even in the Bible, it allows for slavery. All right. Leviticus 25:44 allows for chattel slavery. That's number one. But number two, when it comes to morals, right? When it comes to morals, all morals are subjective, including yours, because it's subject to whatever your God says. So if your God says tomorrow that eating babies is fine, according to you, that'll also be fine. That's number two. But number three, the thing that I would say is that morals all are sourced from empathy. All empathetic creatures, all empathetic organisms express something that we would call moral, right? We all care for each other. We all want to live in a healthy, productive, and happy society. All of us want that. antagonizing my neighbors or enslaving other people is counterproductive to that goal, isn't it? It's counterproductive. Suffering of other people is counterproductive to living in a functional society. So living in a happy, functional society is counterproductive. So that's how we would say that these things are moral or wrong, because it doesn't achieve the goal that we would like. And not only that, just by pure empathy, I don't want to see other humans suffer, which slavery causes. So just to reiterate, number one, even in your Bible, slavery is fine. Number two, morals will still be subjective even if your God exists, because they're subject to him. Objective things are not mind dependent. And if morals are dependent on the mind of God, then it's still subjective. But number three, empathy would move me to say that slavery is wrong because it causes suffering, and I don't want to see other humans suffer. I'm taking you off mute now, Francisco. Go ahead.
I'm back. First of all, that's wait, let me get some wait. That's your interpretation, by the way, of Leviticus. It's highly debated by scholars and historians.
No, it's not.
Interpretation. That's your interpretation, buddy.
No, it's not. Leviticus is not debated by any scholars. All scholars, the scholastic consensus is that slavery. Do you follow a scholar named Dan McClellan?
No.
The scholarly consensus is that no, I'm not. The scholarly consensus about Leviticus is that's about chattel slavery. That's the scholarly consensus.
No.
Yes.
Not proving it though. You're like reading it out of context. It's
I'm not.
If you find in the Bible rape is good, you're gonna like stick to that one verse and not read the context. Like,
hold on. In what context? In what context will rape be good? Are you insane?
No. What if? No. I'm just giving you an example. What if you have to read the whole story and it's saying that a guy said that, but God is saying that's wrong?
But hold on. All right, I got you. So when it comes to Leviticus, that's actually God speaking to a prophet for him to give that to the nations, where he says your slaves are supposed to come from nation around you. From then, hold on, bro. Hold on.
It, man.
Bro, Francisco, you gotta stop. Listen. If God is saying your slaves are to come from nations around you and from them you may buy slaves, that's approval, bro. If he didn't approve it, he would simply say, if he didn't approve it, he would simply say, don't do it. And he didn't.
Wait, am I muted right now?
You're not muted. In the Bible.
Okay, can I ask you something? Wait,
no, don't ask me anything. Don't ask me anything. So your argument is that he's not approving it, even though he's giving him instructions how to do it.
He's not.
If he did, hold on, Francisco, stop. Your claim is that he's not approving it, but he's giving instructions on how to do it. Why would you give instructions on how to do something if you don't approve of it? Why not simply say, stop, listen to my question. Why not simply say, don't do it if you don't approve?
Hello?
You're not on mute. I'm gonna ask my question again because obviously you're not listening.
I thought you muted me.
I didn't, because obviously you're not listening. So my question is again, if God didn't approve, why give instructions instead of saying, do not do this?
Because it's common sense, man, not to do that.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, actually, you're right. You're right. No. You're right. You're right. Hold on. Stop. Chill. No. You're right. It is common sense to. No, Francisco, chill. You're right. You're right. It is common sense to not do it. Hold on. Wait. It is common sense to not do it, but God didn't say to not do it. He simply said he gave instructions on what to do. If he didn't approve of it, why not simply tell them, don't do this? It's also common sense to not steal from people, but he still told them not to do it. So the excuse of hold on, wait, stop. Hold on, Francisco, chill.
That's sacred.
Francisco, chill. It's common sense to not take. It's common sense to not take things that belong to you. He still said, Francisco, if you can't have a conversation, bro, I'm gonna hang up, bro.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
It's common sense to not take things that don't belong to you. God still gave a commandment to not steal. So yes,
Correct.
common sense to not own other people, but God gave instructions instead of simply saying to not do it. So your claim that it's just common sense, which is why he didn't say it, is crazy. He could have just said to not do it. He could have just said to not do it, but didn't do that. Why didn't he simply say do not own other people? That's property. Why not just say that instead of giving instructions?
Yeah. The interpretation, man. You have a big problem with the interpretation, man.
It's not my interpretation. It's a scholarly consensus that this is about slavery.
Dude, okay, can I ask you something? Wait, if this is the case, explain this to me and answer my question. You know Frederick Douglass, right?
What about him?
Was he a Christian?
Yeah. Actually,
yes, and he was an abolitionist. He was an abolitionist. The other abolitionists, they were Christians because they knew it was wrong simply because, the color of your skin to own somebody because of the color of their skin or their ethnicity. They knew that was wrong and that was evil.
All right,
they were
so,
Christians.
Hey,
stood up.
Let me ask you a question. Was the Southern Baptist Church also Christians?
The Southern Baptist, yeah, that's a form of Christianity. Yeah, I think. Right?
Do you know how they became the Southern Baptist Church?
I don't know.
Because they wanted to protect slavery. The Baptist Convention at that point, was against slavery. They broke away. The Southern Baptist Church, they broke away. Hold on, stop. The Southern Baptist Church broke away because they wanted to.
They corrupted the slave Bible.
Francisco,
Dude.
Francisco, stop. I'm not gonna actually do that again.
Slave Bible.
Stop, Francisco. Do I need to keep putting you on mute? Because I don't want to fight for the mic, bro. I actually want to have a back and forth. You need to stop doing that. And you didn't actually address my point. Your claim was that Frederick Douglass and other abolitionists were Christian. That's all good and well. I never doubted that. My point was that the people who were also pro-slavery were also Christian. And they specifically used Leviticus 25:44 and Deuteronomy and a few other verses. So that's my point. Your point was that these abolitionists were anti-slavery. My point was that there were people who were also pro-slavery that were Christian. And as you already admitted, the Southern Baptist Church was a Christian denomination. It was a Christian convention, or it still is a Christian convention. And they became the Southern Baptist Church because they wanted to protect slavery. So you can't use abolitionists to say that Christianity is anti-slavery when there were clearly Christians who wanted to keep slavery. Now you're off mute.
Thank you. My rebuttal is those Baptist Christians were not Christian. They invented the slave Bible, which was corrupted, and they added their own little verses and all this stuff, and they brainwashed their Southern people. The slave Bible. They did not use Leviticus. They invented their own verses. Yeah, I don't know. You heard of the slave Bible, right?
All right. So number one, they didn't invent their own verses. They just took things out of the Bible and gave them the slave Bible.
Okay,
that's number one. Hold on, Francisco, stop.
Fact checking you.
No. They didn't invent new verses. All they did was take.
Checking your ass.
They didn't invent new verses. They just stripped of.
They
did. No, they didn't. They just stripped out.
I'm fact checking you.
They stripped out the Bible from a lot of its context. They didn't invent entirely new verses. That's wrong. The slave Bible wasn't entirely new verses.
I'll give you credit if you're right. Let me see.
What they did with the slave Bible was they took out stories about liberation, and they took out a whole bunch of other stories. They took out stories and verses that could be interpreted as being liberation. No, I'm not denying. Francisco, stop. Francisco, chill, bro. Francisco, chill, bro. Chill. You need to chill.
Francisco,
chill. You need to chill. Stop reacting to everything, bro. Stop.
Yes. Yeah, heavily edited. You see versions. You see they made their own verses. I just boom destroyed.
So Francisco, that's exactly what I was saying before. They didn't make up entirely new verses. All they did was take out. All right, I'm just gonna drop you at this point, bro. Yeah. This not. It's not even worth it. It's not even worth it. All right, guys. I appreciate you all being here. I think I'm about to go ahead and get out of here. I've been on for about 2 hours, 44 minutes. Once again, y'all, we're at 21K likes. I really appreciate that, y'all. I really appreciate us getting us to 21K likes over on the TikTok. Keep tapping that screen. Let's see if we get to 25K by the end of this live. Francisco, I'm not bringing you back, man. I'm not bringing you back. I'm sorry. I'm not bringing you back. I'm tired of this. So if anybody else wants to come in, you guys can go ahead and call in. This nigga Francisco, I'm not bringing you back, bro. This man just keep calling. I'm not doing it. I'm done with you for tonight. Call in some other time. All right, so Schmoogly Boogly, if you want to go ahead and call in about this, go ahead and call in, please. Go ahead and call in, Schmoogly, if you would like to talk about this. And I appreciate the subscription. Yeah, I'll definitely agree the last person doesn't represent Christianity. I agree with that. All right, we got one more caller. Someone called from Anonymous. Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
My name is Samuel.
Is this Francisco?
And hold on a second.
How old are you, Samuel?
I'm 18 years old.
All right, Samuel, 18. What did you disagree with that I had on the board?
Repeat that question, sir.
What did you disagree with?
Near.
Oh, okay. Cool. It's always the racism. It's always the racism. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always the racism. Yeah, it's always racism. It's all right. All right, y'all. I need just one more hat and mustache for me to hit the live goal. I'm gonna stay on until we hit the live goal, y'all. I just need one more hat and mustache. If anyone would be so kindly to give me the last hat and mustache, I can definitely get out of here, y'all. I could definitely get out of here if one last person could give me the hat and mustache, and I would appreciate that. If anyone else would like to call in, I'm going to go only stay for a few more minutes until I get the last gift, and then I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Shabbat Shalom. All right, question. Philippians 2:11-13, Romans 10:9, everyone saved? Let me see what Philippians... Let me look up that verse. What does Philippians actually say? Let's look up that verse. Philippians 2:11. That's what he said, right? Philippians 2:11-13. Philippians 2:11-13. Oh, every tongue acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord, etc., etc. Not sure why you want me to look at that verse for. But I don't think that means everyone is going to be saved just because of that verse. All right, y'all. So if you're calling over, if you're looking at me if you're watching from the Deconstruction Junction, I do appreciate y'all there over on Deconstruction Junction. Once again, thank y'all for y'all support. Y'all amazing. Over on the Volsy Thoughts channel, once more, thank you guys all for your support. Y'all amazing as well. And if you're watching me from the Black Atheist Coalition, once again, as always, appreciate that. Love you. Oh, there's a snake in my boot. I achieve the final gift. The live goal has been achieved, and I can go ahead and get out of here, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. And like once again, like I said, I appreciate you all being here. I am closing out the lines now. All right, y'all. The line is closed out. All right, y'all. The line is closed out. And I appreciate y'all for helping me achieve the live goal. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate y'all. And like I said, love to everybody. We only get one life. We only get one life to live. And I don't think I'll ever see anybody ever again after I leave here. Appreciate that, Jessica, for the last gift. Shout out to Jessica for the last gift. Drop some W's in the chat for Jessica for giving me that last gift. I do appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, y'all. I do appreciate y'all. Y'all amazing. Y'all wonderful. I hope one day that I can get this on a radio or something like that. I've been looking at the radio app Live 365. Maybe I can, if this spreads to that app, I can get more callers. You know what I mean? Maybe if this spreads to that app, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll probably get more callers if I'm able to do this on a regular basis on a radio. But we'll see as this continues to blow up. We'll see how that happens. But y'all, once again, I do appreciate y'all. I do love y'all. Love everybody. We only have one life to live, so treat everybody with love and compassion and support. As I end every live, I always say every man should be soft, and that means secure, affectionate, wise, flexible, and thoughtful. That's the man you should have for yourself. Secure, affectionate, wise, flexible, and thoughtful. I appreciate y'all. Much love to y'all. I will not be live tomorrow and Sunday because I'm spending it with wifey. All right. So tomorrow and Sunday, I'm spending my day with wifey, but I am going to be dropping videos on the Volsky Thoughts channel. Videos will be dropping. So stay around for that. We're at 22K likes right now. Long as outro, but I appreciate y'all.